Dirt and Sprague on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. Happy Hump Day, everybody.
What is happening?
Jordan Schultz, good morning. Welcome in.
Happy Hump Day, you guys. What up, sports fans? What up, Duck and I would say happier Beaver fans today, hopefully.
Schultzy coming right off the primetime gig onto the Dirt and Sprague gig.
It's always a great thing to get off work at 7 o'clock at night. What time did you get home last night?
By 8.
Yeah, probably about 8.
8 o'clock, turn around, bedtime, baby. Time to go to bed.
That was tough.
What time did you go to bed? Be honest.
I tried to get into bed to sleep at like 10:45. It didn't happen for another hour.
No. It's one of those things. When you have to work that late, you got a little buzz going,
You
a
got
little
that
bit
wire.
of a high,
Yep.
and it's really hard to wind down. That's always the worst part about doing because you'll do Duck post-game shows and stuff. You do those late ones, and you're on the air till like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. There's no going to sleep right after that.
No, that groan for me is like you need 3 beers to kind of wind down
Yes.
after that. And I'm not saying that like as a DJ. I am, admittedly, I'm a degenerate. I love to gamble. I love to drink. I love strip clubs. Sorry, I'll admit that. But somebody said that me going to a strip club on the text line on primetime was an upset. So let me get this out there right now. Like, I'm not this wholesome whatever dude just because I wear my sports stuff all the time. But no, I do need that to wind down. But it's not always like wanted. It's just like, all right, I need to shut this brain off.
Can you make my my hot board hot here? Can you?
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
No, dude, get right to the meat.
Did you just like out loud say, I like sex?
I missed some drop
That's kind of what it felt like you just said there.
A little bit.
I'm right. Well, hey, I thought we don't kink shame here.
All right,
No, we don't.
What's your number one strip club in Portland, Schultzy?
Probably Club Rouge. That's my wife and I went there.
Where's
together.
that one at?
I don't know, somewhere in.
What do you mean? You go there and you don't
is
know?
your thing,
What do you mean
man.
you don't know? If
I
you
think
go
it's
there, where is
seed.
that? I don't know.
Drove by it recently. It's like
Schultzy, focus.
You're a strip club guy. Come on.
I am a dad of 2. I don't have that life anymore, man. I have to live through you. Where is this Club Rouge?
I yearn for the days where that was a normal thing.
Southwest Portland.
That was a Tuesday night for Dirt.
Back in the 12 to 3 days? Oh, yeah, man.
Steak bites? Oh,
I
man.
had nothing to be awake for. I'd sleep until 10 o'clock every day. It was glory days. Now I'm on no sleep. I'm exhausted. What is happening to me? I've aged like 15 years in 2 years, man.
Yeah,
I'm losing my hair, and I think this is the reason. It's because I have to wake up early every day.
No, from the stories I've heard, it was the late nights before that might have caused that hair loss.
Yeah, we had some good times back in the day.
Yeah.
We
And now
did have some good times.
my left headphone is not working, and it's really throwing me off this morning.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
looks
know
a little
why.
odd.
I don't like this.
Is it your headphone?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just got nothing. I got nothing coming through the left ear, and it's driving me absolutely bonkers.
You
right
got to
now.
get these are the real professional radio ones. I
Yeah.
asked our company for them.
God.
And I got them.
Somebody help me out here. Give me some headphones.
I'll look for I know where some headphones are. I'll get them for you in the break.
All right.
So Schultzy's at a strip club. Dirt is still, screaming in the garage, what's happening to my life? I was up watching the in-season cup tournament, huh? Are we in?
Your Tuesday cup check last night?
The IST.
How did it go? Good cup check games?
Oh, so good.
I saw are the Warriors done? Are they cooked? Did they lose last night?
Yeah, they lost.
Okay.
Which I liked. You don't have to care about the cup, but I like that they're at least giving you what the qualifiers are and like what's on the line in certain moments. So like last night, Warriors are up 2 or 3, and in the top corner it says Warriors need to win by 12 or more, or Sacramento wins or loses by 12 or less because of point differential.
So we're deciding by point differential.
Well, it's one of the deciding factors
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, because you got to sort out these teams.
Sure, you got 4 teams playing everybody. That thing goes down. You got to decide who won by the most points, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a great game, too.
I saw the Bucks ended up winning last night. I didn't watch much of it, but I was curious for the NBA bros out there.
Yeah.
How did the cross-pollination between TNT and ESPN go?
I always think it's a really overrated thing.
Okay. Have they done that before?
They've done it before.
Because Stephen A. Smith is all over the place.
Yeah.
He won't go away.
Yeah.
And one of the things that gets me to watch NBA basketball is the TNT show.
Yeah.
Like Kenny and Shaq and Chuck and those guys. That will get me to watch. I'll tune into the end of the first half of a boring NBA game just to watch the halftime show and then realize I'm still watching basketball like 5 minutes into the third quarter and change the channel. But I didn't know if the cross-pollination would work between those two shows.
I mean, I think for both networks, they're just fantasizing about Stephen A. and Charles on a segment and going, oh, everybody's going to want to watch that.
Everybody yelling at each other. What are you talking about? What's it done?
Barkley hates that hot take stuff.
He can't stand it.
But he hates Skip Bayless and doesn't hate Stephen A. Smith. So it ends up being okay for him.
I have seen recently that Skip's hosts are already turning on him. There's been some clips that show up. I never watched that show. I don't follow Skip Bayless. I actually think I blocked him on Twitter just I never have to see any of his stuff pop up into my timeline.
I got tired of the LeBron thing. I'm like, how many years can you really do this? The dude's won. He's an MVP. Just shut up.
Yeah, we got nothing left. There's no ammunition left. Just give it up. You were wrong for 15 years, and that's how you built your career. But him and Sherman were going back and forth a couple weeks ago because they were talking about hip drop tackles or something and how they should be out of the game. And Sherman's like, dude, I played in the NFL for 10 years. Like, I know what it takes to tackle. I know how hard it is to do. Like, shouldn't you listen to my opinion on this? And he gave him the whole, I've been covering the NFL longer than you've been alive, okay? I've been covering the NFL since the 1980s. Sherman just had that look of like, that doesn't mean anything, man.
He tried to say that to Jalen Rose, and Jalen Rose was like, you averaged 1 point per game in high school.
You were a JV basketball player.
He called him Water Pistol Pete.
That is still easily the best thing Jalen Rose has ever done on ESPN. Outside of Date Molly. Outside of that, number one, Date Molly.
Her, actually.
Mary Molly, number one.
Married her.
Number two, Water Pistol Pete.
It's hard to argue with that because watching Skip Bayless get served on live television in real time, I was watching that show and I remember just going, you'll come back from that one.
It'd be like me trying to brag about being a high school quarterback and somebody finding a stat line that isn't flattering, man. Don't go look at the Franklin game from 2006. You don't need to do that. Okay, let's focus on all the other games that season.
How bad was that game?
Not good. We lost.
2 picks, like 60 yards rushing, no tuds.
Not good. Not good. Not a good performance.
Franklin is the rival of Cleveland.
They used to be. I don't know if they're still in the same conference or who plays who, but that was the big one.
It'd be really stupid if they weren't. Aren't they like 3 miles apart?
They are very close together. They're no longer the Quakers, though. They're the Lightning.
Yeah.
You can't be a Quaker.
It's problematic.
Can't be a Quaker.
No, will say they're on my oats, though.
It's frowned upon.
They're still on my oats.
Quaker's not allowed.
Whenever I need a laugh, I go find a good old Skip Bayless rage compilation. Like, the guy looks like he's just trying to pinch one. Like, half the time he's angry. He just starts to scream, and you like wonder, is this genuine? God, your wife actually deals with you? Oh, you make $6 million a year. Okay, the gravy train. I got.
If I showed up to a Halloween party dressed as a Quaker, would that be problematic? Like, would people accuse me of anything?
Yeah, they tell you. Yeah,
I think so.
Really?
I mean, when you say Quaker,
yeah,
what do you picture?
The guy on my oatmeal box.
Oh, then no.
No, I think you'll be okay. Isn't there a scary movie out right now where there's a guy dressed as a Quaker that's killing people? And it was like Thanksgiving was the name of the movie.
Oh,
there's like a Quaker killer out there.
Oh, okay.
And is that controversial? Or are we allowed to be that Quaker?
Well, I'd have a flex out if I showed up and said, "Oh, I'm a Quaker." They'd be like, and they had that kind of response. I'd go, "Well, Parliament in England, hello,
come on."
I mean, this dude, on the cover of that movie, it doesn't really look like a Quaker. It almost looks like Freddy versus Jason in a Quaker uniform.
Is the Quaker Oats guy a real person or a made-up person? Is it an Aunt Jemima?
I don't think it's a Colonel Sanders. Let's just put it that way.
Colonel Sanders, one of my favorites.
I'll Google that. Is the Quaker person real?
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
Is it a real old white guy?
Because if it's not, it's the first AI digitalized, like, AI image of a human, isn't it? It's like it's not a real person. Well, then how'd you draw this so well?
The Quaker man is not an actual person. His image is that of a man dressed in Quaker garb, chosen because the Quaker faith projected the values of honesty.
Oh, I didn't know Quaker was a faith.
Integrity, purity, and strength.
I know nothing about Quakers.
I believe it was a very extreme religious belief back in the day.
I always assume old racist white guy for sure.
So you're saying I would have fit right in? I would have been a great Quaker back in the day.
You didn't need to say that, and yet you did.
I'm running with it now. I'm discombobulated. I have a headset that doesn't work. I'm a racist. I'm balding, and I'm fat. So happy Wednesday morning.
The mustache effect to the racism actually...
it doesn't help.
No, actually, I'd say it elevates the fact that I think you're racist.
The caricature is rising up the rankings.
Yeah, it makes me think of like a 90s episode of Cops.
Should I bring in a big pair of Oakleys?
Yeah, we had to break down his door and yank him out of his house by his ass. He had a gram of weed. Like, that was 1998 Cops. I'd watch that. I'd be like, oh my God, look what they're doing to this guy. And they'd go to the camera. Yeah, and they'd show like one little weed strand in his hand, like, yeah, he had a gram of weed.
This is illegal. You cannot have this. Can you roll down your window, please? Roll down your window.
Dirt, you had a mullet. I think you could pull off like Travis Kelce, backwoods Alabama style.
Oh,
right now.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I could give that a shot. I don't know how the mullet would look with the balding front, but I could just let it go and see how it flies.
That's kind
Hulk
of the
Hogan
look.
has a mullet with a balding front.
That's a good point. But he goes like full top bald, doesn't he? Like, isn't it the full horseshoe?
Well, I don't think he'd go. I think he has to do that.
That wasn't a chosen haircut in 1985.
No, I don't believe
You didn't
so.
think this is going to be my look. Everybody's going to talk about Hulk Hogan's haircut.
I don't believe that was a choice.
Oh, okay.
I believe he was kind of forced into that position.
Well, aren't we all forced? We're already talking about the wife has a lot of acid reflux right now in her pregnancy.
It's the worst. I hate acid reflux.
It's been brutal. And she had a coworker tell her that if you have a lot of acid reflux, that means that the baby's going to come out with a lot of hair. She dropped that line to me yesterday when she got home from work. And I just thought,
Like
well,
thinking to make you feel better?
like, no, I don't think she thinks that I'm balding, but this is like an existential crisis that I'm going through. And I said, well, that's great. I'm glad he already took all my hair. He already got it.
What did she say?
She just chuckled. Said, oh, stop it.
I think she knows.
It's like,
but
right here. He took it. This is where his hair's coming from. It's coming from right here.
You worried about him being bigger than you too? Come
Yeah,
on,
I am
man.
a little terrified of that. What if he is taller than me? That's emasculating.
Could you, okay, do me, I actually want to talk about that.
Yeah, what do you
Could
got?
you do me a big favor and just specifically lean into the mic and say, this is Dirt that's been talking about dirt? Because I keep getting accused of being the one to talk about you balding.
Yeah,
Is it-
quit shaming me.
Yeah.
Quit bullying me over there.
I don't want to. I can only imagine what life is right now. Going through the fact that you're about to be a father, your
Yeah.
life is changing.
There's a lot happening, man.
There is a lot happening.
I got a lot to do. The next couple of days are going to be an absolute circus because the Pac-12 championship game is on Friday,
baby shower Saturday.
and then the baby shower is on Saturday.
Yeah, my wife is kind of nervous to go to this.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
You can tell her she can bring the kids, too, if she wants to bring the daughters. My nieces are going to be there.
She thought about bringing my oldest, and
Uh-huh.
I actually shamed her out of it. I
Did
said,
you?
you can't bring. It's a baby shower. The daughter wasn't invited.
Ah, she's more than welcome, man. It's but on conference championship Saturday, I think this is my first look into what my future looks like because it's a big day.
Conflicts arise, buddy.
If Oregon wins on Friday night,
Well, hold on. Is there more than one game that we?
I mean,
really
the
are-
biggest game is obviously Georgia, Bama.
yeah,
and
Georgia,
that's
Bama,
it's
yeah.
at 1:00.
Yeah.
And the baby shower is technically from 11 to 1. So I'm going to be out on the Big 12 championship game because that's in the morning. So if Oklahoma State's doing something funky,
Yeah, if Texas blows them out, you don't even need to watch it.
then
Who
I don't need
cares?
to watch it. I'll keep an eye on the score. I'll DVR it just in case. The question is, how long will people linger? Because I have already alerted the authorities who are going to be at my house of like, yeah, I kind of got a game I got to watch at 1:00.
Do you have a TV in your bedroom?
Yes. Just go sit in my bedroom
Well,
while
I'm just-
people are 15 feet away.
I think you go around at about 12:55ish.
Like, all right, I'm going to go watch a game now.
You say your goodbyes, you say your thank yous, and you tell Michelle before everything starts, at 1:00, I have to watch this game. This is the biggest game of the day.
I got to keep an eye on this.
It's your job.
If Alabama wins, chaos ensues, and so we're rooting hard for Georgia. And I got to have eyeballs on that thing.
Couldn't have scheduled it during the Michigan-Iowa game? Come on, man.
Yeah, later. Well, the tough part with later in the day is
No,
you don't know
it's
when the
hard.
game's going to end. You know,
It's
that's
tough,
it could
yeah.
go to overtime. The game doesn't end until 4. You want to get these things over with early. They're doing mimosas and stuff.
Well,
you know.
people that have kids, they don't want to be hanging until 7 or 8 p.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you really walked all over my in-season tournament conversation, didn't you? You
Hey,
just
go Cup!
trounced that
Who
right
are the
out.
teams still alive?
Did you hear about
We've got the matchups.
Okay, what are they?
I believe it's Boston, New York. No, hold on. Boston, New York.
Boston v. New. Now, are we in single elimination now?
It's moved on to the Vegas part.
So this is like win in advance, lose, you're
Yeah,
done.
yeah. So
Okay.
it's Boston, New York, Indiana, Milwaukee in the East. The West is Sacramento, New Orleans.
I like that. That's a good matchup.
Lakers and Phoenix.
Oh, the Lakers advance.
So you got kind of like random, like Indiana, but then you also have your traditional juggernauts.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Indiana, despite losing to the dominant Portland Trailblazers,
Yes.
is having a very good season this year. Or good year.
They're having a good year. They're
Having a good
scoring
year?
a lot of points. Like Portland holding them to 110 was surprising.
I mean, we're a defensive juggernaut. That's what everybody's saying about us.
I mean, that's the rumor on the street.
We're like 2 plays away from back-to-back wins in the Eastern Conference.
Whoa.
We're turning this thing around.
Actually, it would have been 3 in a row because we beat Utah. We
Oh.
blew the Milwaukee game.
Totally forgot about that.
Did you not watch it?
I don't know.
That's
I
okay.
don't know. I do.
Y'all saw the questions about the integrity of the in-season tournament last night, right?
What were the questions?
What questions?
Oh, the fuddy-duddy takes on people scoring at the end of games because the in-season
Oh, point
tournament
differentials.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Requires, points to be scored, and it actually adds value to scoring points in the last few seconds of a game. But apparently unwritten rules in the world of sports matter more,
No.
and we're not supposed to score when we're up by 20. There's no mercy rule in the NBA. We're not playing JV. God.
That was the enthusiasm I was looking for.
There you go.
That's a dude who's excited about cup action right there.
By the way,
that's a guy who's fired up about the cup.
I love cups and I love balls.
what? Did you say balls?
Basketballs. Hey. Come on. You knew what I was doing.
Definite strip club guy. Definite strip club guy.
Somebody texting in, Dirt's really going through it, balding, fatherhood, and worst of all, nobody's giving his team a chance. Thank you. Nobody's giving us a chance on Friday.
I told somebody on a phone call last night that if I could gamble on Oregon to win the national championship, I would.
I hate you. Nobody's giving us a chance. I went on with Furness in Seattle yesterday. He always likes to bring me on to rile up Husky fans whenever Oregon and Washington play.
Please tell me you leaned into it hard.
Oh, I lean into it hard every time. Although I do have a little PTSD because I did it in week 7. And, I also did it last year. And, didn't turn out great.
You're 0 for 2. So
the third time's the charm, right? Third time honking it up's the charm. This can't go wrong on Friday, right? Nobody's giving us a chance. But I did joke about that. He was like, why are they a 10-point favorite? And I was like, well, we all have eyeballs and we've seen the teams play. But it's really blowing up my theory that we're an underdog that nobody's giving a chance to. And I'm very upset at Vegas for that.
Well, we have a good show today, despite Dirt just playing the underdog card, even though his team's a double-digit favorite against an undefeated opponent who they lost to. Nobody's giving Oregon a shot.
Nobody, man. Nobody.
We'll talk. We have a lot to get to today. Trent Bray was hired by Oregon State officially, so we'll talk about that. Obviously, we've got I got NFL Zigger Zag. You didn't even tease NFL Zigger Zag.
I couldn't remember if we did it Wednesdays or Thursdays.
It's Wednesdays.
Okay, Wednesdays. I will remember next week.
It's okay. I forgot last Wednesday.
We zig and zag on Wednesdays.
We had Zigger Zag to get to. Fun with audio. We got a loaded show. Dirt and Sprague and Josh Pate at 7:30. The tweet says Chris Fetters. Chris Fetters is tomorrow. Today is Josh Pate at 7:30. So we got a loaded show. Let's get it going. Dirt and Sprague on the Fan. things left over, and I got a play-by-play cut I want to get to. By the way, those Bucks, they narrowly beat the Heat. The Heat didn't have Jimmy Butler or Tyler Hero.
That's not what's going on with Milwaukee.
Their coach is going to be fired.
Okay,
He is David Blatt.
because I know they turfed Terry Stotts right before the start of the year.
Not they.
He.
Yeah, his
And
ego
then
got in the way.
Blazer fans were chirping a lot in the first half of that game on Sunday. There's a lot of chirping going on.
Well, I mean, Portland should have won the game. They're up 26 points, but Giannis and Dame are, good at basketball.
They're very good. They took over late in the third quarter and the fourth quarter.
I think, I've been texting Gundy on the side. We've been doing this for weeks, by the way. If you want to know the timestamp, all of this conversation, me and Gundy for weeks now have been calling this dude David Blatt.
He's the new David Blatt.
It's unbelievable. Dame hates him. Giannis has had like 5 in-game arguments with him.
That's not good.
They don't like him, and he's not good, and he's not very situationally aware.
Why doesn't the Bucks ownership understand that and make him? Is it just too early in the year? You can't fire a guy this soon?
Oh, I think it's
It's going to happen.
I think it's looming.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean, if they're very bad defensively from what I've read. I haven't seen a lot of Bucks basketball this year, but they're very bad defensively. Dame's been up and down at times.
Dame's having a nice run right now.
Is he on one of those streaks?
He's a slow starter, and he came out the gate a little slow, little feel-out process.
Yeah.
He's cooking right now.
It'll take time, man. An entirely new team. He's known one thing his entire career. There's an adjustment process there.
Let me ask you a question from the first segment. I don't largely do that often, but something popped into my head that you referenced that you didn't really get to finish a thought on.
Yes, I would love to.
You're actively rooting against your child from being taller than you? Am I?
No,
Did I interpret that correctly?
I'm just kidding. There will be a bit
Are
of
you,
like,
though?
there will be a bit of like, where did those genes come from? How did this work out? This doesn't make any sense. Like, do you get grandfather genes? I don't know how height works in children.
Uncles and aunts sometimes, actually. So, like, if you have an uncle that's, 6'2", 6'3", that means that the genetics are in the family
the tall gene
somewhere.
is looming. Now, what I would say, Schultze, because you're right there, that was what my mom, I used to be super, I don't know why, but as a child, I was really self-conscious about 2 things, my feet size and my height. I would always be like, my feet are even big, they haven't grown, I'm not tall.
Was that about a what big feet equals thing? Or was that just in general, I want to have big feet?
No, this was elementary school. I didn't know about the big feet thing.
Didn't
This
quite
was
connect
just,
the dots yet.
dude, you've met me. I'm weird. I don't know why child me wanted that. And now I wear a size 12, so I'm happy with the feet size. But my mom would always she would do that thing that Schultze just said. She'd go,
Humble brag on the feet size there, by the way.
12 and a half in some shoes.
Drop a 12 right there, just move on.
You know
Well, you
what they
Schultze,
say.
not a 12, huh?
Yeah, you're not 12.
I'm not a 12 either.
I'm only an 11.
Good enough.
Gotcha.
I'm an 11 3/4.
Yeah. My mom used to go, your uncles and your grandfather are tall. And I'm like, yeah, but isn't my dad half Asian? And she'd go, well, Brandon, that's not everything. She ended up being right on this. What I would say
That's
is
true. That's true.
It shouldn't blindside you. Your brother's taller than you, and your dad
He is not taller than me. He is not taller than me.
Your brother's taller.
He's not. I'm going back to back next time I see him. He's not taller than me.
I have this image in my head. Your dad is, though, right?
My dad is tall. My
Your
dad's
dad's my
probably 6'1", 6'2".
I've stood next to your dad. We're about eye level.
He's a good sized guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that gene skipped me, but it has bothered me my entire life.
Skipped you and went right to your brother.
It totally. Hey. Went right to Smudge. All right. At least if one of us is going to be tall, at least let it be him. You know? I'm okay with that, but there will be a brief moment the second it happens. Like, I don't know what even age. The worst part would be if it's at like an early age. If it's like he's an early bloomer and it's like 15, he's taller than me.
Hey, Dad.
Like, that's going to be really tough to deal with. If he grows, by the time he's like 25, you're like, all right, whatever, you're an adult now. If he's like a sophomore in high school towering over me, I will have problems with that.
Things people don't tell you is how you will become kind of jealous of your kid in certain moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering when these moments are going to be for you. I think that's going to be one of them if Smudge just shoots up and he's like 6'2" and he's 15. Hey, Dad. And you're just like, what the hell happened?
How did this happen? I did have fun. We were over with my folks on Thanksgiving, and my mom kept everything from my childhood, which is really cool, but a little weird because you get some things you're just like, why did you keep this?
Your mom has got a lot of Fokker energy. Like there's
yes.
Hall of Fame of Andy. You know what I mean?
I mean, why wouldn't there be, though? Look how accomplished
Is
I
that
am.
a 7th place ribbon? Andy ran hard. He ran hard.
Just a down year, that broken ankle.
It was an
man.
off year, man. I had to run against a bunch of fast kids. What do you want from me? But she kept a lot of things, and it's like, for anybody who's seen the movie Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds, it's one of my all-time favorites.
Christmas classic.
One of my wife's favorites.
He goes back home for Christmas, and he has his snow globe collection, and he has that moment, like, my snow globes.
That's right.
She was going through all my things. My collection as a kid was jerseys. That's it. The only thing I ever asked for my birthday or for Christmas
Sports jersey.
was a sports jersey, and it was so cool to like unpack. I have a Rams Kurt Warner jersey in there.
Oh, I would have hated you as a kid.
I just got everything. Ironically, racist dirt, not racist anymore at least. I have a Cowboys Deion Sanders jersey. Prime time. Which I thought, why didn't I have a 49er Deion Sanders jersey?
You are 0 for 2 in my childhood book right now.
Because I was a 49er fan as a kid, and I have a Montana jersey, a Steve Young jersey, a Jerry Rice jersey, a Rip Hamilton Yukon jersey.
Oh,
how about that for a throwback?
That's right in my lane.
Pretty good. A Bucks Warwick Dunn jersey.
Whoa.
I was going through all these, like my jersey collection. It's like, I can't wait to put these on my kid.
Did you put the old retainer in? Dusty Dinkelman.
I think she actually did keep one of my retainers. I think there's a retainer floating around somewhere.
That Rip Hamilton Yukon jersey is pretty sweet.
I have a Tom Brady Michigan jersey.
How did you get that?
I don't know. And I'm just assuming it's Tom Brady because my childhood was basically his time at Michigan.
Was it number 10, right?
Oh, was he 10 at Michigan?
I don't know. I'm asking.
It's a number 12 Michigan jersey. Why I own it, I don't know.
Is that Brian Greasy?
Maybe.
That might be Brian Greasy.
Maybe.
Even though you were more of a Charles Woodson guy.
You're right. He was number 10 at Michigan.
So I think it's Greasy.
Could be a Brian Greasy Michigan
Think about your
jersey?
childhood when Michigan was like
Yeah, that's probably Greasy.
top
You're
of the
right.
college football world. Might have been Greasy.
No, Greasy was 14.
Who's 12?
I don't know whoever number 12 on Michigan was late in the 90s. I have a
Tom
Michigan.
Brady?
No, he was 10.
He's 10.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The thing about college jerseys, even today, I mean, they're starting to change now with NIL.
No name on the back.
Never a name. And so it's like if you don't remember the era or the year, you kind of like scramble. And then sometimes it's just traditional, like, oh, we made a quarterback number and sold a jersey. It's not even actual player that we're.
Who's number 9? I
Right.
don't know. There wasn't a number 9 that year.
Last night, let's get to this fun with audio. Last night, our producer, who is not on the show today because he worked late, was stuck calling the old crosstown rivalry.
Ooh, do we have a name for that game?
I just said it.
The Crosstown Rivalry?
The crosstown
Oh,
rivalry.
I didn't know if you made that up or if that's the actual name.
I Googled it to make sure I knew the name,
okay.
and all that popped up was crosstown rivalry. Portland Pilots, Portland State Vikings, at Portland State. Do you know what happened in this game, Dirt?
No, but I know when they play, you throw the records out the window.
That is true. Portland got a late lead.
Okay.
And I want you to listen to Swag calling the bucket that Portland gets to take the lead at the end of the game and how the game ends.
Oh, no.
Bosbuski down the lane, throws it up. Oh, it's gone!
We got to get back.
6.6.
Gotta get back.
Portland by 1. Habib met at the line, down the lane to the rim, lays it up with .8 to go. Pilots out of timeout. T-Rob heaves it, good if it goes.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. Can you pull that? Wow. I don't even care if there's background audio. Wow.
Oh, that's delightful.
They lost to Portland State last night, and I want people to know for the record,
The Vikings are an unstoppable wagon early in the year.
5-1. I want people to know for the record, Swag last week said after Portland lost to Tennessee State,
It was Tennessee State. They lost. They got blown out, I think, by Tennessee State.
he said, they're good. If the Ducks don't play in Folly Dante, watch out. The Ducks won that game by 25 points.
Yeah, we texted that into the group chat, and he did not. He was not too happy.
He
with
said,
that
well,
one.
what was the first half score?
They were down by 10.
Does it matter? What was the final score? That's the one that matters.
Yeah, 92-67 was the final score of that game.
I'm glad he's not here because I don't think he'd be in a good mood.
He'd be in a horrible mood.
Yeah, he's Mr. Pilot now.
He is. He wears his pilot gear every day.
Every
Wow.
day.
Wow.
He
That's a good
blows
wow.
out of here at 9. He gets out of here before me and Dirt every day now. And he's like, you guys need anything? Pilots practice. Bye.
See you
And
later.
I'm just like, wait.
Wait, I do. Can you do? No, okay.
Okay,
all right.
I'll do it.
Gotta go practice, man. Gotta go to shoot around.
Got it. You can't miss shoot
You
around.
gotta get those notes at shoot around.
Steven might hit a 3.
Poor pilots, man. That's tough. Go Vikings, though. How about that? Vikings off to a good start this year. That's all I got. I got nothing else
Let's
there.
go Vikings. I've been watching more college basketball this year.
Have you? You're a college hoops guy this year?
Not like diehard, but I watched like Miami, Kentucky last night.
I
in
watched a little bit of
Lexington.
that game.
They blew them out.
I only had it
Jeez.
on because it was directly after the college football playoff rankings. And that's
Ah.
usually how it works. It's like, just, I'm in my kitchen. That was the channel on my TV. And I ended up watching the first half.
If I could gamble on Ole Miss to win the title, I would.
In hoops?
Yeah.
Are they good?
I don't know, but I forgot that their coach was Chris Beard.
Chris Beard is back.
They mopped the floor with NC State last night.
I mean, look, that guy knows how to win basketball games.
Might be an awful human being, but man, he can coach
He
basketball.
might hit his wife, but he can win basketball games.
Well, allegedly, we don't know. What happened.
Allegedly, we don't know.
Wife, girlfriend, I don't remember either.
Yeah.
But all right, there we go. Hodgepodge segment there. We got NFL Zigger Zag coming up at 6:45. Dirt and Sprague back with more. But first, Schultze, sports update, buddy. Here we go.
This is Pac-12 Championship Week with Dirt and Spray.
Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Oregon State Beavers have officially announced that they have promoted defensive coordinator Trent Bray to be their next head coach. Oregon State was 20-9 with Bray as its D coordinator and led the Pac-12 in points allowed and yards allowed in 2022. Lots of changes atop the college football playoff in the latest rankings last night. Georgia still sitting at number 1, but you got Michigan, Washington, and Florida State all moving up one spot at numbers 2, 3, and 4. Oregon moving up one spot to number 5. Ohio State dropping 4 spots all the way down to 6th after their loss to the Wolverines during rivalry week. In the association, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban is in the process of selling a controlling stake in the Dallas Mavericks to the Adelson family. Cuban would still maintain operational control of the team if the deal does go through. And lots of action on the association slate last night. The Celtics over the Bulls 124-97. Jaylen Brown leading the way with 30 there. Nets over the Raptors 115-103. Cavs beat the Hawks 128-105. Bucks on the road beating the Miami Heat 131-124. Giannis leading the way there, 33 points and 10 rebounds. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Get in the game at Spirit Mountain Casino. Watch and wager on all the pro and college action from across the country. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Colder weather is here, and so is cold and flu season. That means it's the perfect time to bring your kids in for a well child visit. It's a checkup to make sure their development is on track and their immunizations are up to date.
The final ones before conference title weekend starts on Friday with a Pac-12 game between Oregon and Washington. Everybody picking Oregon. They're 10-point favorites. Maybe hopes of winning their first national championship that they won't share with another team the way Washington does.
No, I just came across the wire. Prominent college football voice Dave Softy Mahler took Washington to win, so nobody's giving us a chance.
Really?
Jordan Reffett also took Washington to win. Everybody's counting us out.
Where did I forget? Where did Jordan Reffett play? Shocking development by him to pick the Huskies.
He was a practice squad guy. People gave Softy a hard time too because he went to Bellevue College, didn't he? Small school, and they're playing in whatever the level that they play at. They have a championship game this weekend too, and people were pointing that out. It's kind of funny.
Can I tell you a very, very quick Softy story?
Fire away, Bob. It's Oregon-Washington week. What do you got?
I interned at 950 KJR, which is, I think, 93.3 KJR now, in college.
Okay, so you got college credit. I was going to ask.
Yeah, I had to ask an advisor. I said, if I do this internship for a whole term, can I get credit? And they worked out a system for me. Shout out the Bachelor of Arts at Oregon State. Worked out a system to allow me to do this. So my dad lives in Tacoma. I asked if I could stay with him, and then I either bussed at 4 a.m. or I borrowed a car. And so I was interning for the morning show at the time, which was a massive deal. And sometimes I'd had to fill in on Softy's show because his intern was not consistent. And I didn't get to know Softy, but like in the moment, Softy knew who I was. He knew what he could rely on from me. And I still text him every now and then to come on the show.
Where are my cigarettes at?
He was ranting. I didn't know anything about Seattle radio at this time, right? I'm college. He's ranting. He's ranting and ranting. It's weeks and weeks go by. He's just watching. And one day he's ranting about the Huskies. And he's like, his producer was a Husky. He was the guy that hired me for the morning internship, okay? And one day he's screaming at his producer, why the Washington? And the producer, he revealed it. He turns and he goes, Dave, shut up. You went to Bellevue Community College. And Softy slams the door open, walks out because he used to smoke heaters during commercial breaks in the garage, and all you heard him down the hallways, that doesn't make me less of a fan.
He's walking away.
As he's walking away to go smoke a heater, smoke a dart. I had to go down in the garage one day. I see him smoke. He's got 1 foot on the floor, 1 foot on the car. He's smoking a dart he's like sucking this thing down, and I'm like, why did we hire Pete Carroll? What are we doing here? I go, hey, man, we're on in 30. And he's like, all right, let's go. And he slams the smoke down. He steps on it. He goes up. We go up the elevator. He runs into the studio. I welcome back to
Slightly different form of radio here. Slightly.
Just a little
different.
Bit. A little bit.
A little more laid back.
He really is, though. The one thing I will always commend him with, it is not an act.
No, he is a passionate dude.
Like, he really, when he is passionate about the Seahawks, the Huskies, all that, you can not like him, and that's fine. It's truly who he is off the air, too.
Yeah, that is 100% correct.
That is a peak sports radio story, though. Peak sports radio. That if you've ever wondered, what's going on in the breaks, that is exactly pretty much every time.
Did you see what happened in Columbus on Monday, by the way? Did you have that in your notes at all?
I didn't.
So there's a show. They obviously lost to Michigan again for the third year in a row. Everybody in Ohio State and in Columbus, they're going through it right now. It's not an easy time to be an Ohio State fan. They want to fire Ryan Day. One of their big flagship station in Columbus was doing their reaction Monday afternoon to the game. And the producer's like, all right, we got to go to break. Let's go to break. And the host was like, I'm not going to break. And just refused.
I did hear about this.
He refused to take a commercial break. He said, I'm too fired up. He was like, how much are the commercials? I'll pay for them. Take them out of my salary. We're not going to break. We're doing 3 straight hours.
I don't think you really want to pay for that.
No. And then the boss, their program director, walked into the studio during the segment. You could hear him in the back, like, you got to go to break. We got to pay bills.
So what's going on? And actually, I kind of read the back and forth. He was talking to him like he was a 10-year-old. And the host
was like, what, you don't want to eat your vegetables either? Like, grow up. We have to take commercial breaks. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking commercial breaks.
Jeez. Oh, and now everybody's softy. I like that.
He's not even. They didn't sound like that, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Pretty big breaking news happened in non-football. We'll get to NFL Zigger Zag here, but very, very quickly, I kind of ruined the segment with my story. Mark Cuban going to run for governor of Texas? There's something going on with Mark Cuban. He quit Shark Tank yesterday, and he sold the majority stake of his team to the Adelson family in Vegas. And Reportedly, they're interested in building a new arena with maybe like a casino kind of attached to it, which, boy, right up my alley. And
Must be nice to have people that are willing to sell franchises to people who want to, invest in it and make the organization better. What a novel concept.
Well, Cuban's selling the majority stake, but he's going to run everything still and make basketball operation decisions.
It's a brilliant move.
I don't know what to think of this. This is pretty big and massive and breaking. Nobody in Dallas saw this coming.
Yeah.
Is he running for governor? Because they've always talked about president. I'm wondering if he's going to try to take Abbott out in an election, be governor, and then try to run for president or something. I don't know what's going on with him.
I wouldn't be surprised by it. I thought it was how cool of a move is that? Because what do you get, $3.5 billion for it?
2.5.
$2.5 billion?
And that's 10% of her stake.
Yeah, you're still going to be able to control the basketball day-to-day decisions.
$2 billion is only 10% of your worth.
You're still going to be, I know, isn't that crazy?
That's unbelievable.
Like, you still get to be around the organization. You get to do all the fun things that he wants to do as owner, and now he has enough money to bankroll whatever political campaign he wants to launch. I wouldn't be shocked. Like, that's the kind of guy that has always had that undertone of politics. Like
he's pretty vocal on how he feels about
He's vocal on
things.
issues. He's flirted with it multiple times in the state of Texas. He's one of those I'm in between. Am I a Democrat? Am I a Republican? I'm going to get everybody's vote kind of thing.
He tries to play the centrist card.
I'm an independent kind of thing. So I wasn't surprised by the idea of him running for office, but him selling the majority stake in the organization I didn't think that would happen.
Big breaking news.
Massive news in the NBA.
NFL zigger zag. Trent Bray was hired. We've got the college football playoff rankings and Josh Pate. Pate State material at 7:30. Dirt and Sprague back with Zigger Zag next on The Fan. All right, we got a lot to get to in the second hour of the show. Oregon State makes their coaching hire. Playoff rankings out. Josh Pate at 7:30. Loaded second hour. Let's get to it, though. NFL, zig or zag?
All right, what do you got? I'm still batting 1,000 this year.
You are.
I am. Haven't missed one all season.
Dirt, we start in Carolina.
Ooh.
Where the Panthers have not had the season they thought they would after trading up to the number 1 pick and selecting Bryce Young.
Did they think they were going to have a better season than this?
They fired Frank Reich in his first season.
Yeah.
Third quickest coach fired in year 1.
Yeah.
Panthers are 30-52 under Dave Tepper as owner.
Woof.
And here's what he had to say to the fans yesterday when pressed on it at his press conference.
So we have not gotten what the fans see every day, right? I understand their frustration. We share that frustration every Sunday with them.
Dirt Zigger Zag, Dave Tepper is currently the worst owner in the NFL.
I'm gonna zig on that. I'm trying to rack my brain on who else would even be in the conversation.
How about Mark Davis in Vegas, who's cash poor?
I think I would rather have Mark Davis as my owner than David Tepper. I know that's shocking. I think I would. I don't know why. I don't really have any strong argument to make.
Do you like the Texans ownership group?
I think they've had a good offseason at least. Mm-hmm. Now, their last couple of years haven't been great, but they seemingly hired a good head coach, and they made the right decision on draft day, and that's what's kind of plaguing Carolina right now.
The Lions have had the same ownership family for their entire existence.
Yeah, people don't forget the Fords history. I get it, but at least they're winning right now.
Okay.
The Carolina Panthers have had 2 relevant years in their entire existence. I know that's a little over-aggressive. They've been better than that, but it hasn't been very successful. Dave Tepper has done nothing. He's a micromanager, and I actually was going to get to this today. Rookie quarterbacks have a hard enough time in the NFL. Bryce Young, he's done. He's cooked. And I didn't have high expectations for him coming in anyways, but I'm rooting for him to succeed. I don't root against any of these guys. Dude, they traded draft capital to move up, so they don't have the ability to address the roster that way in the offseason.
Not in the first round.
Not in the first round, at least. His offensive line is terrible. They're hiring another head coach. They fired members of the offensive staff. So now in week 8, we go, all right, new playbook. Here we go. Guess what they're going to do in the offseason? They're going to go hire another new head coach, another new offensive coordinator. And NFL quarterbacks, whether you like it or not, you basically get 2 years to do this.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it in 2 years, you're viewed as the organization as a guy that we need to move on from. I feel horrible for him. He has been dealt a terrible hand in Carolina.
Also hard to move up and draft the smallest guy maybe ever to come out in the NFL draft. Number 1 overall. Those expectations, it doesn't change because of his size. It just gets amplified.
With every good game and throw C.J. Stroud makes, it gets worse and worse and worse in Carolina.
To San Francisco, where Deebo Samuel said this about Bradbury on the Eagles and followed up a response on the Kay Adams show yesterday.
D-line make both of them all pros. Besides Slay, I respect Slay. What about Bradbury? Trash.
At the end of the day, I said it, but I don't regret it.
Dirt Zigger Zag, the Niners and Eagles game, biggest game of the NFL season.
I'm zigging on that. I think these are the 2 best teams in the NFL. Kansas City is flirting with that conversation, but they got some issues offensively at wide receiver they need to figure out. I think when you're looking for complete teams, these are the 2 best. I understand why the 49ers are bitter, man. When you have a team that beats you and then talks trash because you didn't have a quarterback that could attempt a forward pass for the final 3 quarters of an NFC title game, that's going to stick out to you a little bit, and I cannot wait for this game. I've had circled on my calendar all season long. I think if the 49ers win, they have a great shot at getting home field advantage in the NFC, which would be massive, because I do think these are going to be the teams that eventually play in the NFC Championship game.
This, to me, this is standalone. Have you looked at the 1 o'clock window?
I have not. Is it not a good slate?
It's a weekend with a ton of buys, the last buys of the year. There's only 2 other games.
How bad are we talking?
Panthers at Bucks.
Nope.
Browns at Rams.
Nope. Yep. This is a standalone game.
I don't think I care about the red zone at all here.
No, I think
unless I gamble on those games.
Which, God,
I will.
I mean,
I will.
I probably
will.
will.
Let's stop.
Panthers.
We're not above it.
They're a 5-point underdog. I mean, I kind of like Tampa at home.
Okay.
Kind of like Tampa at home.
We're moving on. We have a 3-way tie in the AFC playoff picture right now with the Colts, Texans, and Broncos. Indy owns the tiebreaker. So Houston and Denver right now are out.
Yes.
If you look at the schedule, Broncos at Houston. Broncos are winners of 5 straight games right now. They're taking on the surprise Houston Texans, led by first-year coach and quarterback Dirt Zigger Zag. C.J. Stroud will show the world that he's better than Russell Wilson.
Ooh. I'll zig on that.
Really?
I'll zig on that. Russell Wilson has been playing much better football. The numbers don't necessarily jump off the page, but what he stopped doing this season at least is kind of mind-numbing turnovers and costing his team a chance to win. His touchdown to interception ratio was really good. Predominantly, when you look at their 5-game winning streak, it has been built on two things: playing defense and running the football. That's what they figured out. Russell Wilson is being a complementary player to that. But I think when you look at Houston for the most part this year and you point to their big wins, you kind of circle C.J. Stroud as being the difference maker. They have to go to Houston for this game. I think at some point the luck's going to run out for Denver. I like Houston to win that game this weekend. And so I think C.J. Stroud will show everybody that he's in that conversation. He's having an unbelievable rookie season.
No, it's not that he's in the conversation.
He's better than
Russell Wilson?
I zig on that.
You zigging it?
Yes, I would take C.J. Stroud right now over Russell Wilson.
And finally, we go to Thursday Night Football. Seahawks heading to Dallas, where they're currently 8.5-point underdogs. Seahawks are currently 6-5. Dirt, zig or zag, they'll be 6-8. They have Dallas this weekend at Dallas. Next weekend, they're at San Francisco, and then they get to come home to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I'll zig on that, man. I think the magic has run out with Geno. It was fun for a year while it lasted. I'm glad that they didn't give him a longer contract. They need a franchise quarterback.
Will he right back now?
Well,
I didn't mean that. I was just joking.
Look, it's still a very cool story that he was able to resurrect his
was.
career to get paid. Nobody saw that coming. They had an unbelievable season last year. They trade their franchise guy. They're the team that makes the playoffs. The Broncos have to fire their head coach. So I'm happy for the Seahawks in that regard. I just think, like, when they play these elite teams, you could just see there's a major difference, man. When they go to Baltimore, how does it turn out? When they play the 49ers, how does it turn out? They're struggling against bad teams and backup quarterbacks. I think they're going to get drilled on Thursday night. This is the kind of game the Cowboys blow opponents out. They're going to struggle to move the ball on that defense. You point out the two games after that, I'm zigging. I don't think they win any of those.
I gauge this segment on how good or bad it is by this measurement, and I failed. I thought I came up with good ones. I failed.
I zigged on every one.
Complete zigging.
Yeah.
All 4 zigs, 0 zag. When you get some zig and some zag, that means I did my job. I did not do my job.
Not a balance of zigging and zagging today.
We'll be better. We'll be back next week. We got a lot to prepare for, a lot of film, study, and execute next week. That's all we can do at this point.
That's all we do. We're on to next Wednesday.
We're on to next Wednesday, where Dirt will forget that NFL Zig or Zag is at 6:45. Hour number 2, Trent Bray hired as Oregon State coach. How we feel about it next, second hour, Dirt and Sprague on the Fan.
Hey, folks, this is it. The best weekend of the year for buying a TV. Forget inflation, because now you've got deflation with Black Friday pricing on top-rated brands like Samsung, LG, and Sony. Where's the best place to shop? It's not the clubs or online. Join the smart shoppers heading for video only, because they've got better than Black Friday deals. That's right, better. Don't believe it? Then bring your prices to video only and compare before you buy. Or you'll be sorry. At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Jansen Beach, Clackamas, Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene. Video Only.
Cyber Golden Gable deals are
HD2, and of course, YouTube.com/1080thefan.
Hello. Dave asks, if one only zigs, does that mean they did a complete circle? I think we did there. I think we did a complete circle in that segment.
A circle zig?
It was a circle.
Yeah.
It's a circle.
We completed it.
We did.
Like Schultze's in on that.
Shout out to the Big Jeff who said my mustache is looking pretty dope. Thank you.
It reminds me of
Big
that
Jeff.
saying, like, 2 lefts don't make a right, but 3 do. Which, you know, kind of zigging over and over and over again. Yeah, you're going to make a circle.
I got you there.
Sprague's looking at me like I'm crazy, but okay.
No.
He's going to have a comment on my
I do
mustache.
think you're
He's going to
crazy.
keep belittling my physical appearance.
Oh,
he likes
excuse
making fun of me for being bald. He likes making fun of me for being racist and fat. Now he's going to shame my mustache. Let's go ahead. Jump on.
I'm usually the one that gets made fun of, so I'm going to step out of the way and let Sprague insult you for once. Let's go.
Strip Club Schultze, thank you.
Everybody
Sprague to the main stage.
Hey, Mercedes up there. Tuck a buck. Don't be cheap.
That needs to be a drop. Please, that needs to be a drop.
I feel like that's
Talk
a
about
real
don't-
read you've heard at the
Yes.
strip club.
That
Brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, G-Strings, and G-Wagons.
No, Mercedes is the name.
Do
of
they
the
sponsor
stripper,
strippers now? How cool with that? Can we sponsor
would
a
be
stripper? Here comes Cinnamon, brought to you by Dirt and Sprague, 6 to 9 a.m. on
I'm sure
YouTube.
professional athletes sponsor strippers, not so much car companies.
What would be our stripper song? Like, if we sponsored a stripper, what song would we play?
We're sponsoring strippers now?
I think we should. Why not?
They have NIL?
They could. That'd be cool. Get a 1080 The Fan tattoo. What's that? #1 sports station in the market.
Where's Spice? Oh, she transferred to the club down the road. They paid her more NIL money. I really liked my G-Strings, G-Wagons line.
Here we go.
Oh my
This is this is as stripper of music as you could possibly get.
In 1982.
Oh no, they still go hard to this. I think.
Do they?
I think.
Is what they play at the club?
I've heard. They still do that.
I better not get an expose on K2 about a radio host being caught giving mustache rides. I'm going to be very upset.
What's a mustache ride?
They got to play this song in the background, though. Because this
Yeah.
is the song. Like, I've heard it every time I go to a strip club. Cherry pie by Warren.
I was actually going to compliment your mustache and say it looks awesome.
Hey, thanks, man.
I tried to grow one.
Yeah.
It did not go well, and you can clearly see the difference between a man who can grow hair and a man who cannot.
I'm a man.
And I'm not.
I'm 34.
Speaking of man, Oregon State got their man. Huh?
They did. They got their guy.
Trent Bray.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Coming to the main stage. Trent Bray. No G-string, please.
I don't know if I want to see that. I'm probably out on that one. I think I'm okay. I'll pass on that one. But I'm happy they got their guy.
Schultze, do we have the audio? So here is the audio. This is the full audio they sent out on Twitter last night. Scott Barnes had a player meeting at 6 o'clock. And here is the introduction to the players from Scott Barnes.
All right. Great to see you guys. We want to tell you that we have been on a journey for a couple days. National search, interviewed 7 candidates. Our best guy of that bunch, without question, your new leader, Coach Trent Bray.
You were there? I didn't know you were there.
I was in the back. Had to be loud and proud. I'm going to buy a Damian Martinez sweatshirt.
You should if he stays.
There's one that's pretty sick, actually. I want to buy it. Speech! Speech! Speech!
Are we going to play the speech? Are we going to do the speech?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, come on.
Got me going.
Motivate me!
The big reason I'm here are you. I care about you guys, love this place. Believe in you, believe in what we can do. Right? As I'm going through this deal, right, the more I believe this administration, right, what's going on here, what this future of this program looks like, and what we can do. The opportunity we're going to have over the next couple of years to be in that final big picture is even more real now than it was before. And I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't believe it. So I'm just excited to get started with you guys. I'm fired up for you guys and your opportunity in the bowl game. Wish I could be there with you. I'll be around at practice. But you're in great hands, and look forward to watching you guys go out there. Feel free anytime questions come up. My door's always open. Hit me up. I'll be happy to answer any questions. But just really excited about this opportunity I've been given. So thank you.
He was his press conference is at 2:00 this afternoon. I've thought about going down for it. I don't know if I'll be able to. Wednesdays I'm supposed to take my daughter to late arrival school, so I don't know if I'll make it.
He is a friend of the program.
He has no idea who we are.
Friend of the program.
In fact, I would be willing to wager he hated coming on our show as much as we didn't enjoy the short word answers that he was giving us. But
kind of a two-way street there.
This isn't surprising, I think. We had talked about this last week. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. Trent Bray, new Oregon State head coach.
The whole bowl game thing is weird to me. I don't really get that.
Here's the thinking. I think he'll explain more of this.
Okay.
The thinking is by taking him off the interim coach label, he can now be the full candidate, which now obviously he's been picked. He was always going to get picked.
Yes.
And he can be kind of like a new hire in a way. He's not new to the program. As he just said, he will be there for questions and help. But he gets to kind of act like he's new to the program in that way, right?
Okay.
Like
be out on the road recruiting.
Think
and
of
all
it
that
as
kind of
if
stuff.
when Mario left, whoever was the interim for the bowl game, I forget who that was, but like if they had hired Dan Lanning bowl week, Lanning's not coaching, right? He introduces himself and then he recruits and he sets his stuff up. That's kind of the thinking here. And it allows the assistant, whose name I'm blanking, longtime assistant, allows him to have this opportunity to be an interim coach, continue to connect with players.
So that's a good way to put it. Look, as you point out, we knew this was going to happen the second Smith left. Like this was the only route that Oregon State was going to go. We had Angie on Monday. She said, Bray's the guy. It's just, you got to do your due diligence. You sit down with candidates. You got to let the time, run out a little bit and then you make your move. And we knew that this was going to be the hire. It was just a matter of when, not if they were going to hire Trent Bray. I think the most important thing in the short term is that it has given life and energy to a fan base that had no life and energy. I think Friday night into Saturday morning is as low, and this is crazy to say because you had to live through Gary Anderson. That's about as low as I've ever seen the Oregon State fandom, wondering where do we go, what's the future look like. Things are bleak. Your coach left. You don't know where your conference is going to be. Don't know who you're playing next year. You don't know where your games are going to be on television. And so just injecting life into the fan base to generate donations and NIL contributions and all those things, vitally important. I also think the other thing that was a priority for them in the short term, I don't know what the next 5 years look like for Oregon State football. I don't know where you're going. I don't know how you're going to acquire talent. I don't know anything. What I do know is that currently you have a Power 5 roster, and you were a couple of plays away from being a 10-win team this year. I think keeping that infrastructure in place was the most important thing in the short term, of making sure no matter who you hired, this was not going to be a roster, fingers crossed, that people came in and just poached and threw money around, and all of a sudden you look and you say, okay, we lost Damian Martinez, we lost 2 elite defenders, we lost everybody that we've been developing. Now we basically have to start from scratch, not knowing where our future is going to be. So they solidified the short term, which I think was really good. The other ironic thought that I had out of this, you can make an argument. Jonathan Smith did a great job building up Oregon State. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how he's going to do at Michigan State, but I don't want to take credit away from him. The ironic part about Oregon State the last 2 years, their defense has been a far stronger driver for them winning football games than their offense has been. Last year, they won 10 games. They had the number one defense in the conference. Their offense was not very good. They couldn't throw the football. They had a good run game. They have. He built it up at the line of scrimmage. Their defense was the reason they won 10 games. When I've watched Oregon State, especially late in the season this year, including on Friday in the Civil War, what stood out to me was the way that they played defense. I thought they were terrific defensively in that game. I know they lost by 24, but I thought their defense came to play. So it's funny that the head coach gets the credit. He gets the new opportunity when I think the hiring of Trent Bray and what they've done defensively, you can argue, more responsible for the success they've had on the field.
So I don't really have anything that you said there that sticks out that I have a problem with. I think the only thing that I would say is, as hopeless as it felt immediately after you knew he was leaving for sure, which was before the game, which was so much more awkward.
Basically Wednesday.
I do feel like, and maybe this is social media maybe kind of fusing this into my brain. It did feel like Oregon State fans at least rallied together and just said, hey, man, we got to be optimistic at this point. There's no other option.
Yeah.
Like, I was crafting takes on Saturday of should we just lean into the men's basketball, women's basketball thing and be a basketball school, because I don't know what the future of football is, and the NCAA tournament's not going to exclude you ever. So, like, you're always going to be in that. And now I'm at a point where they've raised damn near $1 million for their damn collective NIL. They're doing another one for Aiden Childs. Everybody's excited. This felt, I saw somebody you posted about this, about the hire. I love it. meh, whatever.
Sure.
And I saw a response to that. I think it was the first one I saw from one of our P1s that was like, this feels very much like haul in, forced hand, whatever. And I couldn't disagree with that more. Now, if you think, I don't say lazy, but the easiest hire, okay, you can make that argument. I would actually make the point of it felt more crystal ball than anything.
Yes.
Of assistant who's never been a head coach, or at least not a head coach at this level, that really resonated with the players, recruits, knows his S on that side of the ball. And what did you hear from players the last couple days? Bray area, Bray. Like, we've had 2 in-state school situations with new coaching hires that it kind of feels like players help dictate. I'm not saying it was the only consideration was what the players wanted, but to what you said, I had talked to somebody yesterday and said, how do you feel? And I said, well, I like it. He's an Oregon State guy. My overall point was kind of what you were saying. It was the thing that makes everybody happiest.
Yes.
What has been kind of the idea of Oregon State the last couple of days? Depression, sadness, uncertainty, being a little nervous about what the future holds. You made a hire that very well could be good on the field and off the field, but I think you most importantly made a hire that keeps people engaged.
Yes.
Like, I love that Oregon State has rallied together. They're doing spaces every night. There's like 1,000 of them on these spaces, just shooting the S. And they're raising a ton of money in a short period of time. But they also kept somebody that a lot of people respect because of what you highlighted. Oregon State has always kind of had a good offense. When he fired Tibesar and hired and elevated Bray, that kind of took them to the next level. Now, I don't know what his offense is going to look like. They lost Mahalichik, who I think is the best offensive line coach in college football.
It's a big hole to fill.
That's a massive blow, but he's got time now to work on his hires, figure out what he wants to do. There's an Aiden Childs element. I want to get to this coming up. Okay. A couple more lingering thoughts. Then we'll get to Josh Pate. We'll dive into Oregon, Washington. There's a lot more to get to, the college football playoff rankings, all of that. But back with a little more update on Oregon State next on The Fan. Pate coming up at 7:30. Bo Nix may have the Heisman wrapped up.
Bodacious.
Also, a quarterback on the market, choosing between Oregon and Washington.
Ooh,
Who would you choose?
Ooh.
I don't know if we'll get to it today, but I had a segment like thinking about the Pac-12 title game, the last one between these two teams. Not that we haven't gotten to the game yet, but like, where do you think these two programs are going to be? I want you to linger on this maybe for tomorrow. Is like, they're in the championship game of this conference. This conference is dead now.
Yes, it is.
They're going to be in the Big Ten next year. Where will these two teams be in the next 3 years? I find this an interesting one to talk about.
I would love to answer that question.
I know you would, and I can tell by your face and that mustache what you're going to say. Trent Bray hired as Oregon State head coach. The next big domino is the obvious one, the quarterback, Aiden Childs. Bray is obviously not the offensive guy, so he's got to go find the right system, the right coaches to put in place for whatever. I would imagine he's not going to change a whole lot up given the offensive linemen they have so far in the program.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other part of this is this hire was exciting for fans. A lot of media members like Bray, think he's a good dude. I'm still not sold what it means yet for the team. And what I mean by that is, I know you haven't heard much of any of names in the portal, and that's a big thing for Oregon State right now. I'll be curious to see how many of their top-end talents end up in the portal when it officially opens.
That, to me, is the million-dollar question right now.
I think I heard Sook say this yesterday, that there was a report on 24/7 that a guy that works for 24/7 basically said you will be stunned the names you see in the portal.
Yes. Yeah,
the names we haven't heard of yet. Like, you're seeing Michigan State. They're leaving. Okay. Let's do a math equation together. If you take 3 quarterbacks away from your program, most teams, that leaves how many quarterbacks left?
0.
Okay. Quarterbacks aren't necessarily the cheapest thing in college football right now. So Jonathan Smith got to a new place knowing he needs to win at $7 million plus a year. Why would he want all quarterbacks gone? Well, sometimes to get guys to your place, it's going to cost some money. So, like, kind of felt like expired meat being thrown out at Michigan State, despite the Levitt thing that we had talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Martinez says Smith lied to him a month before that he left, which, I like that Damian shared that. I'd also say welcome to college football. It's making me wonder what's going to happen with Aiden Childs. I'm not sold that Aiden Childs is staying in Corvallis, and I hope he does.
Yeah.
I think he's special. I just do. And I can't give you stats. I just watched the guy play. He just looks fluid. He kind of carries a confidence with him. He flew under the radar his whole high school career, and the last minute he became a star, but he's committed and loyal. I'm worried they're going to lose him. I hope they don't, but I am definitely concerned.
That's the unique part because you mentioned it there. He is a guy that his recruitment blew up at the end of his senior year when people started to realize, wow, this guy's better than whatever they had him ranked a 3-star recruit at the time.
I think he went to a camp and performed really well and was like, holy crap, this kid's
got some talent. But you pointed out that he remained committed to Oregon State. Why? Because he's a loyal kid. He had other schools that are bigger than Oregon State probably offering more money to recruits that were going after him, and he didn't do it. Now, was he loyal to Jonathan Smith or was he loyal to Oregon State? How much of the offensive coordinator hire and what you're going to run, how much does that weigh on his decision-making? I do think the transfer portal window, you've seen a lot of names that have jumped in, not a ton of massive names yet. Like guys like Tyler Van Dyke are probably at the top end of the spectrum right now.
I think a receiver from USC.
Raleek Brown, who was a big-time kid, but I don't think he played a ton, but he was a highly touted prospect coming out of high school. Monday will be an absolute chaos, and you're going to have a ton of those names that jump in. I think hiring the right offense coordinator is vitally important for the Aiden Childs equation. The other part of this, though, that I have been rattling around in my brain, and maybe it doesn't end up happening because Childs stays, but if Childs is to leave, we also don't know what DJ's doing yet.
No, he hasn't officially listed or said.
Like
he said he's going to play in the bowl game.
He says he's going to play in the bowl game. He could go to the NFL. I don't know what that draft stock is. I don't think it's super high, but he has all the physical tools when you stand next to that guy on the sideline. He's massive. He's got a rocket arm. Like, somebody will probably take a chance on him when, I don't know, it's a really deep quarterback class this year, but that's the other component of this. Now, I don't know if that blows your socks off as an Oregon State fan. I would argue if you get him a couple of wide receivers over 5'7", he'd have a better chance at having better numbers next season.
You noted that in the Civil War.
Dude, it's nuts, man. Being on the sidelines for that game and seeing some of those Oregon corners line up against Oregon State wide receivers.
They're bigger than they
It's
were.
like me standing next to Sakanic. Like, like, good luck, dude. You're quick and you're going to run some underneath routes, but anything down the field, you don't have much of a chance at completing. So they have to address that need. But that's just the other component. Now, it's not a long-term solution, neither necessarily is Childs, but he's got more eligibility left. I also wonder, look, we don't know Aiden Childs. I don't know what his driving force is. I do wonder for him how much of it is the schedule and who you're going to be playing. Because I think these guys want to showcase their ability at the highest level. Oregon State's not going to have that ability in the next 2 years in terms of conference play. But if you get, let's say, Oregon on the schedule and they come to Reeser next year and the Civil War's back, you're going to have Purdue in non-conference. We know that. That's a Big Ten opponent. Sounds like you're going to play 5 or 6 Mountain West teams. What does the rest of that Power 5 schedule look like? How many good teams and quality teams are on there? And is that a schedule that entices a kid to say, you know what, I don't need to jump. I'm going to have opportunities to showcase my abilities against the best in the sport.
Well, and that's the thing is the Martinez example doesn't fit with Childs because Martinez is looking at this like, well, Anthony Newman shared this story once, and I remember hearing it and going, man, that's a great anecdote. And I always get this mixed up when I retell it. Is he from Arizona?
No, he's from here, but he wanted to go to Arizona State.
That's right. Okay, so I always get that reversed.
And his dad said, stay here because you have the chance to be a local legend.
And I think that's the Martinez thinking is like, could he go somewhere else for a season? Yeah, he absolutely could. I wouldn't imagine he's going to stay much longer after the year. I don't think programs are paying $2 million for running backs. Like, we make up these numbers as if every skill position guy's getting it.
Yeah.
He's making good NIL here. He genuinely, I've been told, genuinely just loves laid back Corvallis, cool, calm, quiet. He just likes football, wants to do his thing, be left alone. He also only has one more season. He plays the Mountain West next year, basically, right? He's got some Power 5 games in there, but he plays Mountain West football opponents. If it's one season, so be it. That stuff doesn't apply to me with Childs. I think it's a little different than that.
Yeah.
He's got to show people stuff, right? He got some possessions here and there, but largely didn't get to play all that much.
Also weird that he didn't play on Friday. That was an underrated thing we didn't talk about. He did not get his third series.
No, he did not. It felt very wink and noddy to DJ.
Yeah.
Your brother is on the field. Your dad's in the stands. It's been a big, like, the Uyunglele's against each other, right? They took the photo afterwards, praying and hugging, and I thought that was a cool moment. Kind of felt like a wink and a nod of thanks for coming. No sourcing on that, just a guess, because I was wondering the same thing.
There's a ton of NFL scouts there, too, including the Giants general manager.
You just have to kind of ask yourself, what is best for a guy like that, Childs? Where could he go to Michigan State with Jonathan? I'm sure Jonathan would take him, and he gets to play Big Ten football.
Yeah.
But, loyalty could mean something, and a lot of liars being called on Twitter to Jonathan Smith from some of these guys. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about him. Martinez seems to be done. I don't know about the other top-end guys, whether they're going to stay or go. Yesterday felt like a really good moment for Oregon State, but now, like, as quickly as it is, that press conference is going to happen, it's over, dude.
Yeah.
It's bowl time, and then it's what are you doing next year? Where's the schedule? Who are the opponents? And who is coming and who is going?
I'm hoping Oregon State releases the schedule today. They should. Monday will be the first test. Like, this is when we'll find out how Bray's going to be as a head coach. How much of this roster can he keep together? Yeah. If he can keep the majority of it together, Oregon State's got a chance to make some noise in the next 2 years, and then you go from there and figure out where your landing spot's going to be.
Josh Pate. Late Kick with Josh Pate, 24/7 CBS Sports. Joins us for the Daily Ticker. We talk conference championship game playoff stuff and more with Josh Pate next, but first Schulte with a sports update.
This is Pac-12 Championship Week with Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Oregon State Beavers making it official. They've announced they are promoting defensive coordinator Trent Bray to be their next head coach. Oregon State was 20-9 with Bray as its D coordinator and led the Pac-12 in points allowed and yards allowed in 2022. Staying in college football, lots of changes in the playoff rankings this week. Georgia still sitting at number 1, but Michigan, Washington, and Florida State all moving up one spot to numbers 2, 3, and 4. Oregon also up one spot to number 5. That means Ohio State dropping 4 spots all the way down to 6th after their loss to the Michigan Wolverines during rivalry week. In the association, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban is in the process of selling a controlling stake in the team to the Adelson family. Cuban would still maintain operational control of the team if the deal goes through. And lots of action on the NBA slate last night. Speaking of the association, the Kings topped the Warriors 124-123. Mavs over the Rockets 121-115. Looks like Luka Doncic almost had a triple-double, 41 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. And the T-Wolves edged the Thunder 106-103. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Every day, get the NFL headlines delivered straight to you. Follow the Best Football Show with Brian Baldinger on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Colder weather is here, and so is cold and flu season. That means it's the perfect time to bring your kids in for a well child visit. It's a checkup to make sure their development is on track and their immunizations are up to date. And while you're at it, schedule their annual teeth cleaning too. Dental care is an essential part of your kids' overall health. Find easy tips to stay healthy at careoregon.org/kids.
Hey, listen up! Don't forget Motorsport Hillsboro's Black Friday.
Fan.
All right, Daily Ticker time here on a Wednesday. Welcome back in. Let's talk some conference championship week and Pac-12 championship, which will be on Friday with our good friend Pac-12 Pate, the commissioner of college football at Late Kick Josh on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Check out the Late Kick podcast and Late Kick Live on YouTube. You had a big announcement last night, Josh. We're getting you in Vegas, baby. How excited are we to be heading out to the desert on Friday night?
It's a very big deal. You know, I've never been to Vegas before. Naturally, my first trip is for the last Pac-12 game ever. That's how I drew it up as a kid.
You've never been to Vegas in your life, really?
Look, I don't live the party lifestyle, though, and I don't believe in betting for fun. I strictly believe in betting for profit. So Vegas is just not appealed to me. The cheap food does. But I'm the kind of person they hate in Vegas because I go for the cheap food and I don't bet any of my money.
You're also publicly Facebook official with your lady, so congratulations on that. Went to Twitter this weekend, let it be known to the world. Look at me, Late Kick Josh Pate.
We're making moves, man.
Your words, not mine. But actually, those are my words. Yes, it's been a whirlwind of a Once Upon a Saturday tour season for sure.
Well, we had you were previewing the games last night, and it's when you look at Oregon and Washington, I love the vindication for the model because it's a neutral site. Oregon lost head to head. They're a nearly double-digit point favorite in this game on Friday. I go back and forth on this game, Josh, where I see all the metrics that you pointed to on the show last night. Basically, every statistical number says that Oregon is the better football team and Oregon is going to win this game. I also think that their secondary and their safety play at times has struggled against the pass, and Washington has as good of passing offense as anybody in college football. Where should the concern meter be for Oregon fan? How are we feeling about the Pac-12 title game?
Well, look, here's my concern is for me. Okay, let's talk about me first. Because that's whose reputation is really on the line here.
Yes.
So I picked against Washington in the first game. Close game, but they won. So they dunked on me. Then I thought they were going to go lose to Oregon State, and they won a close game and dunked on me again. So what do I do if I think Oregon's going to win, but I don't want to run the risk of going 0 for 3 picking against Washington? I have very little path here. I have very little wiggle room. But here's what I think. I think Oregon's the better team. I always have. I think they're going to win the game. And the reason I think that is because I think people are going back way too much to the 0 for 2 on fourth down attempts inside the 10-yard line last time. They turned it over at midfield. Those things are individual to a game, and they make the game, but they're individual. In other words, there's no carryover necessarily. Conversely, as Meemaw used to always tell me, Joshua, if you get it done on third down, you don't have to worry about fourth down. And Meemaw was right, as she tended to be. And Oregon's top 5 in the country in third down conversion, and Washington's defense is in the 80s in conversion percentage allowed. To me, that's where the game's won. I mean, Oregon's got the better ground game. They got the better defense. They got the better pass rush. So there are edges here. But you mentioned the part that could neutralize it all. If we get to the end of the first quarter and Penix is like 6 for 7, 142 yards and a touchdown, and 2 or 3 of those receivers have already gotten in the action, then you're in for a dogfight the rest of the way. And that's something that you just can't know until the game arrives. But outside of that, I think there are enough incremental edges for Oregon where I feel good about them winning. And I also think you have to pay attention to November trajectory.
Yeah.
I mean, Washington's been getting by on close wins for a while, and that's full credit to them. But you're facing a team that's winning by an average of 26 points per game over the past 6. And so it's just a different caliber team right now. And I think Oregon will win the game, but I do get a little nervous when, unlike a month and a half ago, when I was on an island screaming this, now everybody is screaming, Oregon, double digits. And I'm like, y'all need to go back over there, okay? We were fine over here in the minority. We don't want you here.
I want to be honest with you, Josh. My co-host is an alum, and you being loud on Oregon on your show has pissed him off because he likes the whole chip. Nobody's buying into us. We got the chip on the shoulder. We're
trying to be an underdog here, Pate. You're blowing up my theories, man.
Can I ask you this, Josh? Like, you've been on Oregon all year. You've been consistent in that. I think everybody out here that's not a Duck or Husky fan, I'm objectively telling everybody I think Oregon's going to do it. I also think Penix is hurt, and they're just lying or not talking about it. And I worry what the defensive line of Oregon's going to do if they can get to him. But there has to be something in the back of your mind. You've kind of highlighted it here, picking against Washington being wrong. They've been in a lot of close games, some of those games against lesser opponents. There has to be some kind of thing, some quantifiable thing, where you get a little nervous because for whatever reason, Washington plays to opponents. But when they do, they somehow come out victorious. They play to the level of what Oregon is, they win. They play to Stanford, they win. play Oregon State, they win. Like, I don't know how to quantify it. There's not a stat with it, but there is a moxie to DeBoer, Penix, and company where they're in tight games. They're not going to flinch because they've been in tight games almost all year.
The stat's called game control. Even the committee keeps it. They will never define it for you, but they keep it. And if you go back in history, what you'll find is teams who play the style Washington plays are only able to do that until they face an elite team. And they faced one this year. They have faced Oregon. That's the only team I feel to qualify as elite. And they beat them. But what they needed is they needed turnover help to beat them. Now, a Washington fan is listening and already yelling at the radio because they think I'm discrediting the win. I'm not at all. I'm giving you credit for the win. What I'm saying is it's a very simple equation. To win Saturday or to win Friday night, Oregon doesn't have to do anything more than they've been doing. Washington does have to do something more than they've been doing. The game they've been playing is not enough. And it's not that you're able to turn it on just to the degree you need. What you're capable of doing is playing to a certain level. Let's just say on a scale of 1 to 10, Washington is capable of playing to an 8. Some weeks they need to play to 5.5 and they do it. Some weeks they need to play to 7 and they do it. But the bottom line is they can't get past an 8. And if you face a 9.25 team and that team plays at 9 or 9.25 level, there's nothing you can do. You need help from them. Washington got help from Oregon last time. And if they don't get it Friday, they won't win. If they do get it, they got a chance to win again. That's really the long and short of it.
We're talking with Josh Pate, Late Kick Live, the Late Kick podcast. Go check him out on Twitter as well, at Late Kick Josh, and on Instagram as well. He's going to have some good behind-the-scenes content from the Pac-12 championship game Friday night down in Vegas. I had a listener blow my mind earlier this week. I know you've been highlighting this on the show. We talk about it all the time. We've been waiting for chaos. Like, at some point, we're going to have one of these weekends. And at times last Saturday, felt like it was going to be it. Auburn's going to win the Iron Bowl. Oh, my God. Washington State's going to win the Apple Cup. Not so fast. The favorites continue to win. And he said, what if no chaos is the chaos? So I will ask you, Josh, is no chaos the chaos of this year?
Oh, it's very chaotic to not have chaos. But let me tell you what I think is going to happen. I think 3 unbeatens are going to lose this weekend. I think Washington's going down. I think FSU is going down. And I actually picked Alabama to beat Georgia as well. I want you guys to pull out the back of your pizza box and sketch out what you think the Final Four would be if that were to happen. Because as best I could tell, Michigan's in.
Easy.
And as best I can tell, Texas would be in.
Yep.
And then Oregon would be in, I think. And Bama, I think, would be in. Like, is that the 4 that we go with? And if you do that, do you keep Georgia out?
Yes.
You know, all sorts of different things. Like, does Ohio State have a backdoor in? I think there is chaos coming, but he is right. The viewer/listener is right. If you don't have any chaos, in a twisted sort of way, that's the most chaotic path imaginable in this sport.
I think you laid it out there, though. Like, and I get it. Georgia, 2 championships, you know, all that respect. But, like, we have to hold. Don't we have to hold every team to the same standards, right? If Bama beats Georgia, SEC championship game, Oregon wins, they're already there. Michigan wins, they're already there. Texas beat Bama, and if they win their conference title, they won their conference title with 1 loss. Like, Georgia has to be out, right? Like, because I think America is afraid, Josh, especially out here on the West Coast, where we kind of get forgotten about that it's just the SEC playoff and everybody else that makes it whatever. People are afraid that if Georgia loses, they're still going to get in. In that scenario, I don't know how you leave Texas out, for example. And by the way, what did you think of Texas being ranked where they were ranked last night?
Well, okay, so now as popular as I am amongst the Oregon contingent right now, I will just depopularize myself in one sentence. I think Texas and Bama should both be ahead of Oregon based on resume. And that does not compute with my own personal ratings because I got Oregon number 2 in the country. So my power ratings notwithstanding, if you just go by resume and what the committee claims to value, I have no idea how they have Oregon ahead of them. Now, I've had my buddy Dave Bartu in my ear explaining this to me, and he keeps on preaching game control.
Yeah,
game control.
yes.
And he look, I'm not saying Bartu's wrong. I'm just saying that committee never talks about it publicly. And I have no idea why, because they are voluntarily misleading people into thinking some things matter that apparently don't matter as much. So I wasn't surprised at where Texas was, nor was I surprised where Bama is, because they've just kind of, been there most of the time. What I would have done, and I don't know that there was precedent for this, but who cares? They just make up the rules as they go anyway. What I would have done is put Ohio State 4th, or 5th or wherever, and I would have put Texas, Oregon, and Bama in a tie, a 3-way tie, which should be impossible if you're a committee, but I would have done it anyway. And I would have said, we view the three of these teams as equal heading into the final weekend. So basically it's like a 1-game season. And if there are spots available, we will choose from them based on how they perform this weekend, based on imaginary metrics. That's what I would have done. If you really want to just go full evil committee chaotic theory, that's what I would have done.
It's the most un-American thing you've ever suggested.
What is this, European soccer? We got ties. Well, I mean, your point's valid because every Oregon fan saw the rankings come out last night and thought immediately, we're set because Oregon's playing the number 3 team in the country this weekend. Texas is playing, where's Oklahoma State? 20 or 19, somewhere in that range, right? It's like you're not going to be able to Texas, no matter what they do on Saturday, will not have a better win this weekend if Oregon is to win on Friday night. Let me ask you this, though, and I know we've debated this in years past. I've seen some people argue that the expanded playoff will lessen the importance of regular season games, especially, Michigan, Ohio State. You were there this last weekend. They're both in an expanded playoff format. It lessens it a little bit, and I agree with that take. I would also, though, look at this conundrum that we're facing and argue all these teams deserve a shot. Like, even if Washington loses this weekend, that's a 12-0 season. Like, they lose one game to a top 5 team. Like, that's a team
they've already beaten.
Who they've already beaten. Like, I get Washington fan has been arguing that all week. If Georgia loses, there's nobody that can look you in the eye and tell you that they don't think Georgia's one of the 4 best teams in the country. They haven't lost a game in 2 years. So does this kind of chaos lead you to think maybe an expanded playoff is a good thing, or is that a stretch?
You know the answer, right? Like, my answer.
I know the answer,
so,
yeah.
If you need me to waste a minute of your precious airtime, let me tell you, no, it doesn't prove it to me at all. It actually proves what I've been saying. You just made the point about Georgia. This is the only system you guys are going to have a shot at in leaving them out of the playoff. This is the only system that gives you a shot of keeping Alabama out of the playoff. Now, let me just tell you what I've witnessed this year. I've seen all these teams in person. I've seen many of them multiple times. Nobody is beating Bama and Georgia if you give them 3 weeks to get healthy. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Those are the 2 best teams in the country 3 weeks from now. You need to keep them out now if you want to keep them out. And so in the future, they can afford a loss. Georgia could afford 2 losses. In the future, Penn State is still in the playoffs. So the only difference between me and the expansion crowd is I actually am advocating for a system that delivers what a lot of you claim to want. You want more parity in outcome, and I'm telling you, the only shot you've got is a small playoff, because that's where Georgia could be left out with a loss, or Bama's out with 1 or 2 losses. In the future, they're in, and you're going to give the most talented rosters 3 weeks to get healthy, and what's going to happen is what ends up happening most of the time anyway, but at least you got a shot if you got a condensed playoff. And the other thing is, I've never thought it's the worst thing in the world to have some people mad at the end of the year. That never bothers me. If one team gets left out or 2 teams get left out that have really good resumes, at the end of the day, what we have is we have some people who are mad, but we had very high value placed on the playoff spots because there were a finite amount of them. And if I have 12 of them, 1 year I may have 6 qualified teams. 1 year I may have 5 qualified teams. I'm filling out the rest of the schedule or the field with very incomplete teams that I don't think deserve playoff designation. So I hope I've been clear in my stance that I'm completely fine with this.
Still wrong.
I love it, man. Those are all valid points. It's hard to disagree with
Josh,
the Georgia
the playoff
point.
is the only hope for my Oregon State Beavers at this point, man. I need that expanded
They need
playoff.
a bigger field. We need a bigger field out here.
A cookie monster with a cookie crack, man. Like, come on, I need this.
64. Last 2 for you, Josh. Are we going to get an Any Given Friday shirt for Friday? And then where can people follow you for the behind-the-scenes content?
It just sickens me that this is the first I have thought about that. I cannot believe I have missed this opportunity.
Trademark. I'm trademarking it right now.
I don't. Yeah, but can you guys make the shirt and just give me a 40 or 30% cut?
Yeah.
I don't know if we have time to turn that. I will say though that I think tomorrow, Thursday, we are going to drop the season-long shirt over at PateStateMaterial.com, and that's basically like a concert tour shirt. That's where it shows all the cities, all the dates, all the places we've been. That's the one that even I'm going to buy, and I'm the cheapest person you guys know, but even I'm going to buy that shirt from myself.
Josh, I think I said this to you last time. I'll say it again. He's only bringing this up because he basically wants a shirt, and he just won't straight up ask you for it. I don't get it.
Big fan of the show, Josh. First time, long time.
I've told you guys, you don't even have to ask directly. Just get a mutual friend, and I think there's one in the studio.
Yeah.
Just get a mutual friend to ask me, and there's a more than 50% shot. I'll send a shirt out there.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, my co-host forgets what I say 2 minutes after I say it. He quotes
true.
you every week.
This is true.
Josh Pate said, and I'm just like,
I said that too.
what did I say? I mean, I'm just right here, and Josh is not here.
Hey, I'm a P1 man. I love college football. He does a great job. The show was awesome. He's been high on my Ducks all year. It kind of pokes holes in my nobody's giving us a chance theory, but we love the show nonetheless. Go check it out. Late Kick Live on YouTube, the Late Kick Podcast. Give him a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Late Kick Josh. Enjoy Vegas the first time. Hopefully you win some money. If you do gamble, get back to Atlanta on time on Saturday, and we always appreciate it. Let's catch up again soon.
I appreciate it, guys.
There you go. Josh Pate of Late Kick Live. We went a little long with Josh Pate. I want to talk about the college football playoff rankings. Did we like what we saw last night? We'll get to that coming up next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainsplumbing.com.
Even though if there was a process with 5 people in the room and the way the votes came in, Frank was the first choice, I always could veto that choice. And even if it was Bryce and the votes came in unanimously in this particular case, I could have vetoed that choice. In both cases, I supported both choices.
There's Panthers owner Dave Tepper. Everybody celebrated he bought the Panthers. They're 30-52 since he bought them. He gives me hope that I would actually be a good sports owner.
This guy's awful. He is screwing over his number 1 overall quarterback. Firing a coach 8 games into a season is laughable, and I feel bad for Bryce Young.
Who's stinking it up? The Carolina Panthers and Dave Tepper. Brought to you by Three Mountains Plumbing. Make plumbing and electrical services delightful. Get your time back. Let the pros tackle whatever projects you need completed. Schedule an appointment online. Three Mountains Plumbing. That's threemountainsplumbing.com.
Hey everybody, Sprague here. Leaves are falling, cold, crisp mornings are here, and I couldn't be more excited getting to watch all of my favorite teams in football and basketball with more excitement to come.
And the last thing I want interrupting the game is a plumbing issue. My friends at Three Mountains Plumbing want you to enjoy whatever game you're watching, so they're here to take care of the plumbing projects you need to get done around your home. I have Well, see you later.
Coming up next.
We don't have these segments often, but
No, look, conference championship week will get you fired up. There's a lot going on, man. The note from the listener earlier this week made me chuckle when I keep asking, where's the chaos? Where's the chaos? And he said, not having chaos is the chaos. And it's true. Like we are potentially setting up for an incredibly chaotic weekend, win or lose. Somebody's getting left out and is going to be pissed off on Sunday morning. I don't know who it's going to be. Will depend on who the game's in. Like who
gets left out and is pissed.
So if Georgia wins, they're undefeated in him.
Yeah.
If Michigan's going to beat Iowa. Michigan's in the playoff.
I can't. Have you seen that over-under's only 35?
I don't get it. Michigan's like a 3-touchdown favorite. They're not losing to Iowa.
How are they not scoring 42 by themselves?
No world in which they lose to Iowa.
Yeah.
If Florida State wins, that's the biggest bugaboo in all of this. And I actually want to talk about it to start the final hour.
It's looming.
So that's 3 undefeated teams right there.
Okay.
Oregon and Texas win. Who's in?
Oregon.
Okay. Texas is going to be pissed. They beat Alabama in non-conference head-to-head.
Oregon beat Washington.
Sure, but not on the road and not in a quote-unquote non-conference game. They would both be one-loss conference champions. Their strength of schedule, strength of record.
Yeah, is worse.
Below Oregon's out of the water.
For sure.
And they would have a more quality win in the regular season and a conference championship.
So
I would love for Oregon. I'm a Duck. I obviously would be happy with that decision, but
Yeah.
Texas is going to be livid if that happens on Sunday.
Don't lose to Oklahoma. Like, sometimes when you lose, and it's about when you lose. Like, I think this stuff is kind of stupid when you get to 4 and you're like, what are we nitpicking? It's like, well, when you lost. Oregon got to lose early, and then, they ran the table, so they made it. Washington, you're out. You went undefeated, and you lost one game. You're out of here.
Or Texas won a couple of close games when their quarterback was hurt. That's the main reason I would argue they're behind Oregon right now.
Pate is right on this. Bartu's been on it now for a couple days. The game control stat is one that never gets talked about, and he says, and that guy would know more than us, he says the committee heavily weighs it. There's not been almost any control done better than Oregon.
No, they've had 2 close games all year.
And
2 competitive games all year.
You can maybe throw Georgia in that if you want, but like since Oregon lost that game, it has not been close at all.
Michigan's the only other team that's Georgia and Michigan are the only other ones that are in that same conversation with Oregon.
Yeah, but that Ohio and look, it was a rivalry game, and so Oregon's rivalry game with Washington was kind of like this, but like that Ohio State game was not. There's a little, are they going to win that game on the road and upset Michigan? I think stats like that the committee's not talking about. Boo Kerrigan's getting on. He's like, Bo Nix's completion percentage. And I'm like, yeah, it's really good. It's nothing to do with what this conversation is. But if they're using that stat, if game control is indeed one of the bigger stats they're using, you have to talk about that publicly. You have to make that front and center on the old stats page. You can't have secret stats that you're using for your information and then not providing to explain to people. So, I mean, will there be people frustrated? Sure, but I don't know. It feels, maybe I'm off here. It feels like Washington fan has loved this ride, this journey. They beat Oregon in the regular season, so they get the bragging rights again. I feel like Washington. You think Washington fans gonna be pissed, or be like,
I think they have a strong. I think they have a look. Conference championships will always outweigh a regular season win. That's the argument.
Yes,
they have a strong argument.
No. They have a good argument to be the playoff, but when it gets to just 4, and you lose the game that you can't
Their
lose.
argument would be we beat you head to head too. Like we won one of those. We had to play you twice, and we beat you once. If Ohio State, if the Big Ten, we'll get to this. We got to go. If the Big Ten didn't have divisions, you know who would be playing in the Big Ten title game this weekend?
It'd be a rematch.
It would be a rematch of last week.
Right.
And what happens if Ohio State beats Michigan? Then who's in? Because it's the
Bob's
same
your uncle.
scenario,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
It's the exact same scenario. We got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show. College football notes. Is this guy worth $1 million? Chip Kelly sticking around. We haven't talked about that yet. What's going on in Boulder? We need to get to that. I want to start, though, with these playoff rankings, and I'm going to flip-flop on something I argued years ago. I'm going the other way now, and I think there's a case study, and we'll get to that to start the final hour next on The Fan.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. This story is called The Ugly
Hey, let's do this. Final hour. Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader, 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube. Shout out to all of our watchers on YouTube. We love you. The guy who called me fat yesterday says I'm looking better today. I wore black. I wore black just for you.
Oh, I told the person.
Just for you.
I was telling him, by the way, black's always slimming.
Yes, it is.
I said on the show, I said, I know it looks like maybe you've gained weight. It's that sweatshirt. That sweater is massive. It's thick.
We're looking tight today. We're looking tight.
You're less racist today. You got a nice blue. You look like a Portland runner.
Thank
you got
you.
a mustache with a nice blue hat and a Nike pullover.
Very liberal look. Yeah.
Do I look like the gal who went running in the snow?
It's actually very good for your knees to run in the snow. It's very soft and comfortable.
And then she fell on her face.
You think he looks very liberal? Is that what you said?
Well, you said Portland runner. Yeah, blue hat
Is
running
every
around.
Portland runner liberal?
What's your problem, Schultz? Huh? What's your deal, bro?
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying,
Hey.
like, get right to the meat.
Open your eyes.
Yeah.
It's time to be woke. Open your eyes.
I'm going to tear your statue down.
I bet you money. I bet you the house I don't own, to quote
He's
Brian
Native
Wheeler.
American. You doing that would make you racist.
Damn it!
Yeah,
damn it!
You can't steal
Trying to
his
fight these allegations, and they just keep.
His statue was here first.
It's a good point. Valid point.
You know?
I want to get to the ranking. So last night they come out. Boo Corrigan, who is
Kerrigan.
I think it's Corrigan.
Why is it Kerrigan?
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Corrigan.
Of course, a guy named Boo spells his name that way and says it that way.
He was asked, they had a shorter show last night. He was asked, Reese Davis immediately went into the why is Oregon ranked ahead of Texas thing? Like, what's the difference there? What's going on? I don't know if he answered in English. His answers were so nonsensical, like not getting to, it's like when you watch a political speech or a debate and say, hey, what are you going to do about healthcare? It's like, well, the border's got a problem. It's like, okay, I didn't ask it, but can we answer the question that I asked? He just said, what are the metrics that rank Oregon ahead of Texas? And he basically had nothing off the top of his head to give.
I really believe he cited Bo Nix's completion percentage.
I think he did. He was asked, what do you make of Florida State without Jordan Travis? Do you rank them differently without their starting quarterback? And his answer was, well, Trey Benson had 3 touchdowns. So none of this makes any sense. I do want to hammer on something, though, that happened last night. So if you missed the rankings, they come out at 4 o'clock yesterday.
I did. I've made an effort to not watch
I don't blame you at all. I have nothing to do with that time of the day, so it's like, whatever, I'm going to watch. Ohio State did fall behind Oregon. Oregon's still the highest-ranked one-loss team, and they're behind, obviously, the 4 undefeated teams of Florida State, Michigan, Washington, and Georgia.
By the way, nailed that. Told you, Ohio State behind Oregon.
You did. You nailed that yesterday.
They can't say it. They want Oregon in that 4th spot.
They need this action.
No.
They like this. They like these uniforms.
I do think they like the uniform. I think they genuinely think they're the better team, but they know they can't do it yet. And I know we're going to get to something here, but I think the committee was telling you yesterday,
okay,
we like Oregon more than Florida State.
They debated on the show yesterday, and I argued against this years ago, and I think I'm going to flip-flop and argue against myself. If somebody had highlights of our show, you could do the Skip Bayless thing, where you pull one clip of me arguing another thing, and then another clip of me arguing the exact opposite of that thing, and I'm arguing with myself. I have argued for years that the committee cannot play God with college football. That is, it should be about finding the foremost deserving teams of being there. There's a case this year that's going to really chap my ass because of the chaos that we currently have, and that is Florida State. Florida State's 12-0. They just finished an undefeated regular season. They survived their first game without their starting quarterback last week in the swamp. It was ugly. They were down early, but they found a way to come back and win.
Their defense dominated 2.5 quarters of that game.
Totally did. Trey Benson is a stud. We know him well in the state of Oregon. He was a Duck once upon a time. They play Louisville this weekend. I have reached the point that I emphatically am arguing Florida State needs style points to make it. Kirk Herbstreit and Greg McElroy got into it last night, and I actually side with Herbstreit. McElroy said they're undefeated, they're a Power 5 champion, you can't leave them out. And Herbstreit's point was, like, I give them credit for that season. This is a unique year where you have 3 or 4 other really deserving teams that have a case to be made for making the college football playoff in a, I would argue, harder conference to play. And the ACC is hot garbage again this year.
Yeah, it turned out not to be very good.
Clemson's down. North Carolina fell on their face. Yeah. Miami was a disappointment again. Like, I don't even know how many ACC teams are even ranked. And Louisville's now number 14 after losing to Kentucky last weekend.
How did they only drop to 14, losing at home to, I believe at that point, an unranked Kentucky team?
I digress. I think they were like 6-5. I think Kentucky was like 6-5 going into that game. Like the example that people will use would be Ohio State in 2014. They did it and they beat my team in the national title with a third-string quarterback. And you're not wrong. But what that team did in the Big Ten title game was they beat Wisconsin and Gary Anderson 59-10. They chucked it all over. They looked like, okay, they're going to be all right without their starting quarterback. Florida State eked out a win against a bad Florida team and their backup quarterback last weekend. They're playing, I would argue, one of the weaker opponents of the entire conference championship slate. If they don't look like a championship team, man, I have no problem arguing Texas over them. I have no problem arguing Washington over them if they lose on Friday. I have no problem arguing Ohio State over them. I don't want Florida State anywhere near my college football playoff.
If you made it your team, you would.
If it was Oregon, you mean?
If Oregon was Florida State and Bo was not quarterbacking, the backup was, and you won a rivalry game, which, by the way, let's not overlook that part of college. Like, rivalry games matter. Washington State had no business keeping that a close game with the Huskies.
Well, neither did Stanford or Arizona State.
No, I know, but my point is, like, Auburn should have beaten Bama. Mm-hmm. And Pate just said with 3 weeks, Bama and Georgia are the best teams in college football. I disagree with the Bama part of that, but, like, that's the point. They should have lost to Auburn, who had just lost to New Mexico State.
Mm-hmm.
Rivalry games have to matter somewhat. They did trail early to that Florida team. They looked a little suspect. I thought defensively in the second half, they locked Florida's ass up. They couldn't do anything. It, to the point for me defensively, was like, oh, if they do this to Louisville, they're in. I hear what you're saying, style points and whatnot. They may not be one of the 4 best teams. I just don't know how you're going to punish a team for going undefeated, winning their conference outright while losing their quarterback. And, oh, by the way, if your argument is, and I would assume it is, as Herb Street's, 4 best teams, you're kind of angling for who's going to play Georgia, right? Because I think whoever wins Oregon-Washington is a 3 seed. If Michigan wins, they're the 2.
Likely.
It's the
so
easiest
you
slam
think
dunk.
if Oregon wins, they jump Florida State, even if they win to be number 3?
Not even a question. They will, because they will have the Washington win. And the committee and everybody in the world knows what's a great sell for television. How about an aerial shot of the blimp of the Rose Bowl, where it's half Michigan yellow, half duck green, and it looks like a duck home game because it's green and yellow. They know this would be a big thing. That will happen. But I would argue what you're going to argue against is you don't want Florida State because they're going to get bludgeoned by Georgia.
They will get killed by whoever they play.
Who's going to beat Georgia?
I don't know.
Is Texas really going to beat Georgia? Texas has had some shaky-ass games. They damn near blew their TCU game.
Mm-hmm.
I know they blew out Texas Tech. Texas Tech's a dumpster at this point. They had some shaky games along their journey.
They did when their quarterback was hurt as well.
Yes, but, like, they haven't been perfect. Are they beating Georgia? Maybe you give them a shot. Maybe you don't, but I don't know if America would. So who's your Washington against Georgia? How's that going to go? So, like, if our argument is who's going to compete the hardest against Georgia, that's a moot point and is not significant in any way to me. I don't think any fan of any other team would be having the opinion of keep Florida State out because they don't look deserving if it was their team.
Yeah, the tough part would be, like, if you use the Oregon analogy, if they had played, let's say Bo got hurt 2 weeks ago and you had to play Ty Thompson in the Civil War, and they win the game, I don't know, 17 or 10-7, right?
Well, 23 to 14 or something,
it's
right?
kind of ugly.
Yeah.
They would still be obviously going into the Pac-12 championship. The tough part in that argument would be if they were to win this weekend, they would have a win over a top 3 ranked team in the country who's undefeated. I don't think Louisville and Washington are in the same conversation. Louisville got smoked by Pitt. Like, Louisville doesn't have many quality wins on their schedule. They beat Notre Dame, but that was the end of a gauntlet of schedule for Notre Dame in which everybody kind of saw that loss coming. Louisville is a good story. They're a decent team. They're not a top 5, top 10 team in the country. They're just not. So I think that's the tough part with that argument. If Oregon were to lose, obviously, with a backup quarterback, I would never argue that they deserve to make the college football playoff.
Is Washington right now a top 5 team in the country? If I took the rankings away from you and given what you've seen them do on the field, would you say they're top 5?
I don't think that they are. Again, the caveat, though, is their starting quarterback is playing. Now, he might be hurt, but he's playing. He's still in the game, which will give them at least somewhat of a puncher's chance. Now, to your point on Georgia, I don't know if anybody can beat Georgia. I'm terrified of having to play Georgia. The argument that Herb Street made yesterday is just simply that outside of last year where you had Georgia, Ohio State be close and Michigan, TCU ended up being a good game. Everybody thought they were going to be blowouts. Outside of that, the semifinals, basically the entirety of the playoff have been horrible games. Horrible.
But you can't pick games based on if we think the matchup will be better for television. I know it's a TV product, but you just laid out a team last year that nobody picked to win their first playoff game and largely thought, cool, they just lost a Big 10 or Big 12 title game to Kansas State. That's going to be in the playoff. And everybody jumped on the Michigan train. They whooped their ass.
Yeah.
So, like, I hear it. I get it. It makes logical sense what you're saying. I just don't think there's a real argument to be made from other fans because if it was their resume, they'd say, no, we're in. And I think Florida State would largely get beat up by Georgia. I also am asking you, what team wouldn't at this point? Georgia's Georgia.
They are Georgia, and we'll see what happens this weekend. I'm just kind of hoping that this doesn't even become a debate and Louisville takes care of it because I don't think that Florida State is one of the 4 best teams in the country.
I'm putting a poll question. If the Seminoles win the ACC, do you want them in the playoff? Do you want them in the playoff?
Want them. Not should they be, not are they deserving. Do you want them in the playoff?
Yes. Reward them. No. Not top 4 in my opinion.
Like, to get back to the argument we had at the end of the last hour, if Oregon wins this weekend and if Texas wins this weekend, is there anybody out there that would say Florida State would beat Oregon or Texas on a neutral field right now? Now, a lot of that will depend on how they look against Louisville, but let's say they win in a similar fashion that they did against Florida. There's nobody that would, right? And so
I'm a little weary of Texas. I think Texas is making a great case. I think their resume will certainly be there if they beat Oklahoma State in the Big 12 title game. I've watched more Texas this year than I have in a while, and they have that win. They do. That was also very early in the Milroe era.
Yeah.
I think he's a different quarterback. I think they're kind of a different offense since then. They've used his legs a little more. I think Texas can be shaky. Texas doesn't leave me with the same confidence that Oregon does. If Oregon played Florida State, I'd pick Oregon to win that and maybe win that by double digits. Texas, they lend themselves to weird things. Like, I know they beat Tech last week. Just go back 2 weeks ago if you want.
Iowa State.
Go back 3 weeks ago. Yeah. They've been in some dogfights and nearly blowing big leads to bad teams.
I hope it all settles itself on the field, but we could be heading for some controversy on Sunday. We'll see what happens, man. It all starts Friday night, Pac-12 title game, and then the rest of the games are on Saturday.
There's your chaos.
This is chaos. And I get the point that Pate's making where I just simply disagree is I don't like Washington to me is a great example of this. They might win Friday, and this all becomes moot.
God, I'm going to have a lot to say if they win that game Friday.
You're going to have a lot to say. If they win on Friday,
Schultze's nervous.
If Oregon wins on Friday, though, like it's fun bantering with Husky fan. They haven't, like, dude, they're 12-0.
Yeah,
their only loss would be to a team that they already beat. Like,
they're preaching to the choir.
Dude, that's tough, man. That's a brutal thing to say. Hey, congratulations on an undefeated season. Goodbye.
You lost at the wrong time.
If you lose the first one and win the second one, you're in the playoff.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. That's why I'm all for an expanded playoff. Let's continue on college football, though. Some weird notes out of the Pac-12. Chip Kelly sticking around. How do we feel about that at UCLA? What's going on in Boulder? And is this quarterback worth it? We'll get to those next on The Fan. 503-864-6326. I went and fact-checked it.
Yeah.
Louisville is in the ACC title game this weekend.
The fighting Jack Harlow's.
Did you go to Louisville? Is he a Louisville guy?
I don't think he did college.
Okay.
I just think
That's right. We talked about that. He's from Louisville.
Yeah.
See, I remember that. Look at that. Steel trap.
What's popping?
I didn't kill those brain cells. The other ones, they're gone. Over here,
brand new whip just hopped in.
brand new whip.
I got options.
I could
pass this bitch like Stockton.
Oh, okay, nice.
No?
No.
Okay.
I got nothing for you.
All right.
They played 3 road games this year.
It's the whitest thing you ever done.
Louisville played 3 road games this year.
How is that allowed?
It's a great question, Bob.
Like 3 true road games?
So their opening game was against Georgia Tech. It was a neutral site game. It was the Aflac kickoff game in Atlanta. So
that's basically a home game for Tech.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Georgia Tech is in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Sure, but it's not technically a true road game. So that would, even if you count that, that's still a split of 8-4.
It's the Oregon-Auburn thing. It's like, well, it's a neutral site. It's in Dallas, so,
we literally played that game a year ago, and it was against Georgia. I don't know why Georgia teams get to have their neutral site games in Atlanta. But I don't know, mind-blowing stat. This is why college football is kind of dumb, that nobody plays a standard schedule. And I get it. I understand my take is controversial. Somebody said you can't base the playoffs based on assuming who you would win, that kind of thing. My argument, in most years, this is not a strong argument, and I would not make it. This year, though, is unique. That there is a chance that a one-loss conference champion, a la Texas, a la Oregon, if they win, could get left out of the college football playoff. And that, to me, is just... It boggles my mind that Florida State would get in over them. That's the only argument I make.
And to the people that are disagreeing with you, it's like and that's kind of where I am. Is football is weird, and college football can be even weirder, and it doesn't always make sense.
Valid.
I gotta tell you, I'm really genuinely surprised. You don't do it often to me. I didn't think I'd come in and have this much playoff hypothetical conversation with you. You are.
I'm all in, dude. My team's involved in this.
I know, but like
I'm terrified of what's going to happen.
Your team in Washington, if the committee said anything last night without saying it, they said winner of that game's in. There's not a concern there. There's not. Paint as many pictures as you want. Oregon or Washington are in the playoff. It's a
Washington
done deal.
for sure. They're undefeated. If they win, there's no doubt.
Oregon would beat the third team. It is a done deal. They like Oregon enough to put 5. They didn't put Ohio State ahead of Oregon. Oregon wins. They're in. Paint all the crazy pictures you want. Oregon's in if they win. Washington's in if they win. The rest of that will get settled.
Nobody's giving us a chance. Chip Kelly sticking around at UCLA. What do we make of that move? He was fired 3 weeks ago, and then they beat USC, and he was unfired.
Well,
and then they got blown out by Cal, and he was kind of refired. And then this weekend, he was unfired again.
What did we learn? We learned UCLA's broke.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. There was a plane flying over UCLA's campus yesterday saying fire Chip Kelly. Fans, boosters, everybody down there is livid with this decision.
Dude, he has least enthusiastic support right now. Maybe going back to, I don't know, like what was pre-Moore? Was it Neuheisel at the end?
Neuheisel.
I don't know who you'd have to use, but like he doesn't have support, man. It's non-existent, but you know what he has that they didn't think about? Those idiots gave him like a 4-year extension last summer.
Yes, they did.
So what did we learn? UCLA's a bunch of broke boys.
Maybe all that extra Big Ten money.
Maybe they should win a Pac-2 lawsuit and have real money.
Rick Neuheisel was there before Jim Mora. Then you had Jim Mora, who had back-to-back 10-win seasons.
Who was before Neuheisel?
Carl Durrell.
See, I think you have to go back to that era of enthusiastic support. Chip Kelly is not. He's not good with the public. He doesn't like doing the media thing. He couldn't care less about any booster stuff. People don't go to these games. I there's no juice there. But they prove they're broke. That's what I conclude with that.
And who are you going to go get? I mean, seriously.
Oh, you could get somebody.
No,
it's L.A.
It's no. I hear that. But
Big Ten L.A.
Would you rather have Jonathan Smith or Chip Kelly?
Oh, no. If Jonathan Smith were available, if he were looking.
Is there something happening in our building? It smells like something's on fire.
I don't know.
Are you smelling that?
No, I do. Yeah.
It smells like a tire fire.
I mean, there's a really good chance it's a bum fire about 10 feet that way.
I know. It's creeping into the studio, and that's concerning.
No,
me.
I was just trying to talk about the landscape of available coaches right now.
It
Obviously,
smells like my aunt's house when she smokes weed.
I don't see any
all those
smoke out there.
incense. You're
it's
like,
not
dude.
even a good smell when she smokes.
Yeah,
weed.
you're like
That
you're
sucks.
masked. I'd rather smell the skunk than the incense. Aunt Lisa, stop lighting 9 incense
I'm
right
getting
now.
it in here too.
Are you?
Yes, I am. Yeah, so maybe we need to evacuate. No, we're fine. I'm just saying.
That happened. We didn't talk about that on the Red Zone on Sunday, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Scott Hansen had to bail the studio.
I know this. It's going a little dark here, but given what America is, I was actually afraid for his life, and I didn't want to witness something on live television.
Somebody was going to take out Scott Hansen. Not our American hero, Scott Hansen.
No, I'm not saying it was that's what it was. I was just mentally, that's where I kind of went, and I'm like, are we going to get a, I had so-and-so plus the 8, like, screw the NFL, it's all rigged. I didn't know.
I've been on the air when the fire alarm goes off like that. Honestly, it was exactly what I thought it was, which was just a errant fire alarm. Nothing was actually wrong.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
We were talking about Chip Kelly.
Both of you did. It's fine. I like all the little extras. No, all I'm saying is outside of Jonathan Smith, there was really nobody, name-wise. What Mike Elko is going to be a nice big get for UCLA? Seriously, you're looking at like a coordinator on the up-and-coming like a Dan Lanning was for Oregon, or it's a retread for UCLA. So the smart thing for them to do, just sit with Chip for the... Yes, because as you said, they're poor. They're moving to the Big Ten, so you need some kind of continuity. Trying to fire your head coach, go spend $30 million while you're still waiting for the new $50 million check to come in. Now, I know that their fans are pissed, but they've got to have some semblance of continuity.
Continuity of 8 wins.
Yeah.
7-5 actually this year. 7-5.
God, even
better than 2-8, right?
Yeah, I think they're a case study of we've talked a lot about the importance of the transfer portal, recruiting, how you build your roster, and the transfer portal has opened things up completely in college football. And you've already seen some names jump in, and it's the Wild West. This is the prime example of you have to recruit. Like, you can go get as many guys. Like, you're not going to be able to build an entire roster through free agency. You have to have some homegrown organic talent, and Chip Kelly just doesn't recruit. They somehow got Dante Moore. They tried to play him. Things didn't really work out there. He looked depressed by the end of the season and like he wanted nothing to do with that. I think he's going through some family stuff, so maybe that's a part of it, but you have to have the balance and the synergy to build your roster. He just doesn't have it. Nothing's going to change there. Like, I see your point about who are you going to go get?
There's a lot of assistants.
I think there's a lot of names.
You got to try things. Like Oregon hiring Lanning. Let's be honest about this. They hired the D coordinator from Georgia. That is how you knew Dan Lanning. You never heard of that name prior to that special Georgia season, prior to everybody throwing his name out and saying, hey, he's the Georgia D coordinator. And it's been nothing but a smash success. But you got to take chances.
That was the perfect hire, though. I agree you got to take chances, but I doubt that UCLA's AD was as smart as Rob Mullins and has as much information going into a hiring decision.
Why?
Because Rob has had to hire 3 different coaches in the last 3.5 years. He knew who was out there. I don't think that their AD.
Yeah, but he could have hired a more stable name in our minds than Dan Lanning, and here he comes, 33-year-old Dan Lanning, recruiting at the top of the world right now.
He was completely unproven.
Bringing the SEC thing to Eugene. Now you have NIL, and it's like, what's the price? Here's the check. Bye-bye. Like, he's securing the high school guys, the transfer portal guys. I hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with the idea of it. I'm living in a different world in the NFL and college. Take chances, man. Stop with the retread crap. Like, there are really good assistant coaches out there.
Take a flyer.
That can maybe change the entire fortune. But again, that's not really what this was. This was, we're the broke boys.
Well, the other tough part is being a broke boy is that keeping Chip Kelly around will not bring in any new money. Nobody's donating. You're not getting any NIL money.
You think Steve from Crunch is excited right now about the UCLA Bruins going to the Big Ten?
That's the tough part with keeping him is they needed to grease the tracks a little bit financially with boosters and donors and all that kind of stuff, and none of that money's coming in. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff. None of them want him there, and so all that pipeline is basically shut off.
You know, I've been on this Chip thing for a couple years now.
100% correct.
I want to give credit, though, in this segment. Can we get a proper Pacific Northwest round of applause? Justin Wilcox and Cal dismantling UCLA final game to be bowl eligible.
Like, good year.
Cal's not looked at very fondly by many people, and I understand why. His defense was not very good this year, but man, he figured out the offensive stuff. Cal getting to a bowl game. Nice little story in the Pac-12 of the season.
Dude, that Mendoza kid was pretty fun to watch in the back half of the year. He'd have some turnovers and stuff, but he was fun. He was entertaining. They probably should have beaten USC as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they had a bad 2-point play. Damn near beat Auburn in Cal.
14-10, yeah.
That was a good game.
Close game. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. Close on a 3-game winning streak. Good year for Wilcox. Chip Kelly sticking around at UCLA.
We're over it, but like, another Pac-12 note looming, even though the season's not over yet, is the Cam Ward free agency.
I'm going to get to that coming up next because there's a report out there about what maybe he could be getting. Does that Does that get you excited? Is he worth it? How do we feel about Cam Ward? Also, what's going on in Colorado? They've had a weird week so far. We'll get to those next. First, here's Schulte with SportsCenter.
This is Pac-12 Championship Week with Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, big news out of Corvallis. The Oregon State Beavers officially announcing they've promoted defensive coordinator Trent Bray to be their next head coach. Oregon State was 20-9 with Bray as its D coordinator and led the Pac-12 in points allowed and yards allowed back in 2022 with him at the helm of the D. Lots of changes atop the college football playoff rankings in the latest ones this week. Georgia still at number 1, but Michigan, Washington, and Florida State all moving up one spot to numbers 2, 3, and 4. Oregon also moving up one spot to number 5. Ohio State dropping all the way down to 6. That's 4 spots from last week after their loss to the Wolverines. In the association, Mavericks owner Mark Cuban is in the process of selling a controlling stake in the team to the Adelson family. Cuban would still maintain operational control if the deal goes through. And one NFL note coming down to the last hour. It looks like Texans offensive lineman Titus Howard going to miss the rest of the season after suffering a knee injury against the Jaguars on Sunday. It's the second chunk of time he's missed. He actually was also out for the first 4 games of the year with a broken hand. More sports, scores, and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on pro and college football from across the country at Spirit Mountain Casino. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host Sean Hyken. Download the Rose Garden Report on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Another day without enough time. We're running out of time. I would like to...
The clock has not existed for you.
No, should I go Columbus radio host? I'm not going to commercial!
I would probably argue on behalf of our boss that you haven't. We
fired up today, man.
We blew the clock out of the water.
Pate screwed this whole thing up. This is all his fault. Damn it, Pate. I also like to thank the YouTube listeners who have noticed that I've switched my coffee mug from a white mug to a black mug.
Ah.
Power to the people.
I didn't notice that.
Power to the people.
You're not a Jason Swigard, just open regular coffee cup guy who fills it 88 times in a show.
I don't think Jason Swigard has washed his coffee cup in 16 years. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
That's a fair point.
The look of that thing. One of these days when he's done with his coffee, I will take a picture of the inside of the coffee cup.
Oh.
It's disgusting. It's stain. There's like layers of stain on there.
He does not believe in washing the old cup.
It's like unbrushed teeth.
Yes. It is a white coffee mug, and the inside of it is like poo brown. It's not supposed to look that way. Coffee doesn't stain like that.
My gambling co-host is, she's got very white teeth, and I wore a white hat when I did the show on Sunday, and both her smile and my hat made it look like I had gross-ass teeth. Like, the whole show, I was just looking at myself, and I'm like, stop smiling. Stop showing your teeth. They're not as white as hers. They're not as white as that hat. Stop smiling. Stop smiling. That was all that was going through my head.
What is... God, we're going to run out of time here. What's going on with Colorado? What do we make of that? They've lost some commitments. They've had some dudes enter the portal, and I believe they've lost both coordinators, if I'm not mistaken.
You know, I heard that they had lost Charles Kelly. I Googled it yesterday. I didn't see a story pop up, but I know that Sean Lewis, who was demoted in season from play calling, got hired at San Diego State.
A lot of people have said the recruiting stuff, they've lost a couple of quarterback
Two
commits.
4-star guys.
And I think a third guy on defense or something like that. And people are assuming that it is Dion going anywhere, and that's why they're decommitting. I don't know. I find that story fascinating. Like, it dominated the lexicon in sports, and we don't need to get into the whole Dion thing again. But no. I find it interesting that it's not... Like, the argument I think you would always make for Dion is the attention and the acquisition of talent that he was going to bring to Colorado was something that really no other coach could do at Colorado. And their recruiting class right now is not good at all for this year.
I think he's going to go look for Louis in the portal more so than the high school ranks.
Okay,
he likes his Louis older and more seasoned. Travis Hunter has been doing a Bleacher Report show all season long. He'll play, like, he played Dan Lanning's clip on Colorado in that media session.
He did. He laughed about. Was that the one where he's in his giraffe suit?
Yes.
I always love he wears the animal outfits.
But he played the Dion end of the season thank you to the players. And look, I get the media was obsessed. The Big Noon kickoff was there for like 3 straight weeks. I understand it. We talked a lot about it as well. Can we be honest and real here? He did walk into maybe the worst job in Power 5 based off of last year. He increased the win total to 4, and I know, or 5, whatever it was. And I know it wasn't quite the season people thought he was going to have. It is Colorado. And I don't think he's going to be in a top 10 recruiting situation ever. I think he's going to hit a lot of the portal. Sounds like Hunter's going to be back next year. I think he has to be.
Yeah, it's only his second year of college. Shador can go if he wants.
It sounds like he may be able to convince Shador to do it again, although if Shador is as high as many people have him in the draft, he might have to leave. But if they get Shador and Travis Hunter back, you continue to try to build on the lines, both offense and defensive. You make the right hires. Like, yeah, they might not be winning the Big 12 next year, but I also want to be fair, even though the media ruined it for Dion. And Dion did bring noise to him. Like, it's year 1. Let's see what year 2 is going to be. And I commend him. I'm glad he wasn't looking to leave. I've said it the whole time. I wouldn't leave. I'd just stay at Colorado. Whittingham's going to be gone soon at Utah. We know that. Mm-hmm. That's been loud for a while.
The Big 12 is open, man. Utah's going to be the best team in that conference.
Right. And Colorado, man, if he keeps winning at Colorado, what do you think Colorado's going to do? Oh, that's right. He made him $100 million this year. They're going to keep paying him. He's going to be the king of Boulder. You don't have to go somewhere else. If Florida State, Alabama, like those jobs open up, those are the rarities of life. I think largely just stay at Colorado, keep trying to build.
I agree with you there. Colorado was in a horrible spot. I think it was all the media creation that drove people upset. Like, I've even seen tweets from this past weekend where I think it was RG3 had a tweet was like, "We've never seen anybody ever do a coaching job like this, turning around Colorado."
See, and that ruins
And
it
you're like,
for
what?
yeah.
Mike McIntyre, I think, took them over from a 1-win program and won like 5 or 6 games in his first year.
TCU won 5 games, hired Sonny Dykes, and went to the national championship. It was a pretty amazing job.
People also pointed to, I don't know if anybody, we haven't really talked about this because why would we? Although we will soon be big Dirt and Sprague. The coaching job that happened at Northwestern won 1 game last year, fired their coach for hazing.
Yeah.
They had an interim guy. They won like 7 games this year. He was the Big Ten coach of the year.
He should be.
What's his name?
Coach.
Exactly. I can't even tell you either off the top of my head. They just gave him a contract extension. I can't even tell you.
Well, I mean, you're Northwestern. Like, that's what you should have done. You're not going to go get some big name coach. Northwestern's expectation exactly what he did. 7 to 8 wins.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good little year for the old journalism institution.
We'll give somebody a prize if you could text in the name of the Northwestern football coach.
Without
Braun? Is it
Googling.
Braun? I think it's Braun.
I think it starts with a B.
I think it's a B name.
But I did see that he won Big Ten Coach of the Year, as he should. Like,
That's cool.
Ohio State lost to Michigan again. Connor Stallions was the real coach for Michigan.
Yeah, you can't give it to Harbaugh. He didn't coach half their games.
Get out of here with Franklin. Like, that was a story of stories.
Yeah.
And I like that we at least acknowledge cool underlying stories of college football and not just who are the top 8 teams. There's really cool stories out there. I know they don't reach expectations for everybody, but like Northwestern, Cal,
Jed Fish this year at Arizona.
Jed
deserves
Fish at
it, yeah.
Arizona might be getting an extension soon. Like, there are some really good stories around the world of college football that I think happen that deserve some attention.
All right, is Cam Ward worth $1 million? We'll wrap up on a Wednesday. They're next on The Fan.
The Fan is on in your home and where you work.
It's just us.
If you text Boston, BOSTON, to 503-864-6326, you'll be entered for a chance to win tickets to see the Dropkick Murphys at the Moda Center on February 17th, 2024. We're going to have tickets to give away the next 2 days as well. And more details, 1080thefan.com. Again, Boston, BOSTON, 503-864-6326. Brock Heward ruffled some feathers yesterday. Or I don't even know if he did, but a report citing Brock Heward did. That Cam Ward, the quarterback at Washington State, has 10 offers of $1 million or more already, which I should highlight is illegal, but nothing matters in college football. Is Cam Ward worth $1 million?
I don't know what the value of a quarterback in college is. I see teams win with mediocre quarterback. I thought Kyle McCord was mediocre all year, but
yeah.
He's at Ohio State, so guess what? They won almost all their games.
Let me ask you this. I don't feel qualified to discuss future Oregon quarterbacks because of my comments on Bo Nix. I should probably sit this one out. I didn't feel great. Now he's going to win maybe a Heisman Trophy.
I don't think you were big on Prue Cop either. You were right on that.
Touche. Hey, 1 for 2. Not bad. If you were an Oregon fan, because there is a lot of chatter out there that they're going to go hard after Cam Ward and that they've already been in communication and that could end up happening, and Cam Ward might be the heir apparent to Bo Nix for a year, and then you see what you got with the other young guys developing.
Yeah.
What is that? If you're an Oregon fan, does that excite you? Do we like the idea of Cam Ward? Because he has big playability. He plays well in big games. I think this weekend kind of an example of that, although he had a couple of bad turnovers. He also has a bit of the Bo Nix vibe where it's like he has a lot of negative play. Takes a lot of big sacks, a lot of weird throws, like dumb decisions that I'm wondering, is the juice worth the squeeze with Cam Ward?
Well, he's also playing at Washington State, so
Very fair.
Sometimes not all the talent around him is the same as other quarterbacks in spots.
Very fair.
I don't know, man. Like, do you think Oregon gets to a playoff next year if Cam Ward's the quarterback?
I think he got a shot.
Yeah, I think they got a shot too.
He got a shot.
Yeah, I think I would have answered that very quickly instead of you two. I would have said yes, because what I would rely on is not necessarily just Cam Ward. The offense, and I don't know if Will Stein's going to stay or go, whatever. The offense is probably going to stay relatively the same. He'll just go find the next coordinator running that system. He is building up such a juggernaut on the defensive line. And the offensive line was the best in the conference. I don't know how much it's going to matter. If you can hand the ball off and have a 1,000-yard rusher, you have pass protection, you've got all these weapons. Like, Jerion Dickey's done largely nothing this year. I would imagine next year when Franklin leaves, he's going to have a bigger role.
Yeah, he'll fill it, unless he transfers.
Unless he transfers, which, again, shouldn't have worn 99. But I would have confidence in it. Does he choose Oregon or Washington? I don't know. And how does Cougar fan if he chooses Washington? Because,
as a diehard Duck fan,
I don't know. I mean, Oregon would suck too, but not quite Washington level. In-state rival would be.
No, Washington level would be heartbreaking.
I will quickly sum up my point as a diehard Ducks fan. Double any other offer that any school gives him. Bring him in.
He's the guy you want. Because there's going to be other quarterbacks in the portal. It's not just Cam Ward. Wait till Monday, and I think your jaw's going to drop of like, wow.
Oh, yeah, no, I heard Van Dyke from Miami. There's going to be some big names.
Oh, wait till next week. Wait till Monday.
it's going to grow. I'm just saying, like, the names are already started to
Will
fill up.
Howard out of Kansas State.
I like Cam Ward. He's tall. I think he fits into what Oregon's doing. He throws the ball very, very well, and he runs.
He's tall?
Yeah. Is he not? 6'3"?
I thought he was like 6'1", 6'2". Is he 6'3"?
Somebody said, as a Duck fan, I didn't want Bo, and I don't want Ward. So,
would you rather have Ward or Childs? One feels like a little building with. Another one feels like, it's our quick,
I think I'd go Ward for the known commodity.
Really?
For the known commodity aspect of it.
Your mistake.
I think Childs will end up being the better quarterback. Is he ready to be that quarterback next year?
He was ready this year.
I love it. There you go. Good little show. If you missed it, go check the Service Patriots podcast, 1080thefan.com.
By the way, leave him alone. Let him stay in Corvallis, please.
Don't touch him. All right.
Please.
Stay away.
Please.
That would be tough. Can you imagine if Aiden Childs went to
Shut
Heisman
up.
in an Oregon uniform?
Shut up.
Can you imagine that?
Dude, we're going to fight.
That'd be tough.
And then after I beat you in a fight, I'm going to wear my Punch sweatshirt.
Josh Pate was on the show. He was great talking college football for like a half hour. It screwed up the clock, but we loved it anyways. Thanks for being a part of our Wednesday, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Colin is next. Listening to 1080 The Fan.